Right. And post. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna go and copy link address. And go. No. Oh, soft promo. Okay. Perfect. Now, hello all. I am going. Hello, welcome to day one of the stream Fall in Love visual novel event. Welcome to the Fall in Love visual novel festival. Where I went through the entire catalog and found out that most of the games that I played are on this list. So that's fun. Anyway, let's get started. Now this is the Ghost of Alcantara. So, eyeball. Yeah. So, let's get started. Dedicated to Nick, who helped me turn a dream into a story. Cool. Part 1, Setting Sun. June 6, 1987. I sometimes wonder how much the world would change if I saw it as someone else. Valid. Take Mrs. Williams, Miss Williams over there. She manages to keep up a polite smile on her wrinkled old face as she nods along to Mrs. Johnson's babbling about how great her kids are. Yeah, valid. She's probably thinking about death. But in the gaps of their one-sided conversation, you can see Mrs. Williams' eye betrayed the smile on her face. She looks past Mrs. Johnson to somewhere further away. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna make a guess that it's the husband. That it's her. Mrs. Williams' husband died a year ago after a long battle with an autoimmune disorder. The world of Mrs. Williams. Is it bright like a smile, or gray like a vacant stare? Without her story, you'd never know. Oh, I thought it was Mrs. Johnson's husband. Now this just got dark. I'm sorry. Then there's Farmer Todd. What kind of name is Farmer Todd? Is that what we know him as? Who's lecturing a couple of kids who were misbehaving. He's a typical grouchy type. Never happy with how the world is, never happy about what people are doing. Oh! Hi, Say-So! Hi! Hi, how are you, Say-So? Lecturing a couple kids from Mr. He's a typical grouchy type, never happy with how the world is, never happy about what people are doing. Yeah, sounds like a lot of people I know. Despite that, if you pay careful attention, you can see Farmer Todd trying to suppress a smile. Oh, he's a nice guy. Okay. His wife and kids died in a traffic accident with a logging truck, and ever since he decided to do what he can to guide others. What the hell?
CISO_strawberry said, Nimble, please roast my art.
No, I'm not gonna roast your art. I never roast anybody who gives me art. Seriously, that's how I keep friends. I don't know if that's how I keep friends, actually. The world of Farmer Todd. Is it the world of someone irritably chipping away at their lonely days, or the world of someone determined to make the world a slightly better place? Good question. It's a little deep for a visual.
CISO underscore strawberry said, please, 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 please.
It looks like it was drawn by a 4th grader? See, I can't roast anybody. Each and every one of us, we're all of Mrs. Williams or Farmer Todd, individuals with unique inner worlds. All of us have a story worth sharing. Isn't that just DID? Sorry. I bounded along the canal front walkway adorned with festival stalls as the evening sunset began its retreat. Why was I having these types of thoughts? I guess it's because the story this festival is based on. Chinese New Year?
Captain underscore Erica said, hi, one of the devs here. Thanks for checking out our game. We hope you enjoy.
Oh my god! Oh, thank you! No, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to actually experience this game. Oh my god, thank you! Okay. Thank you, Dev. Go follow the devs, people. On the first week...
CISO underscore strawberry said, I'll get on my knees for you, Nimble.
Okay. CISO, no, don't.
CISO underscore strawberry said, I'll beg if you want.
No, I'm not roasting your art. I'm not roasting your art. Oh my god. Whew. On the first weekend of every June, our small town of Alcantia, hey! Partial title drop. Located in the northern tip of Michigan. Wait, is that a real town? Hold on, let me look up. Let me look it up. Let me see if it's a real town. Or it's a fictional town that's... Let me check. Alcantara. Oh, it's a fabric. It's a last name of a baseball player. Maybe I should be more specific.
CISO underscore strawberry said, Nimble, it's a bit laggy.
Oh. Oh, yeah, that's the, yeah, that's the, that's the unfortunate thing that is my computer, because I can run streams. The problem is that it doesn't keep up with the thing, so it is a little laggy. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, it says Michigan? Okay, there's a honor roll student named that. So far, it's just last name. So far, it's a last name IRL. Oh, so, yeah. Okay. Northern tip of
Armed underscore Angel 13 said, what's this game about?
I have no clue, but judging by the title, it's about a ghost of a fictional town called Alcantara in Michigan. Holds a festival with the extremely original name, Summer Festival. True. Once upon a time, Alcantara was a town named Connington. I can read, which was known for copper mining and lake fishing. Then a little over 100 years ago, the leader of this town, Alistair Thorne, definitely OC, definitely. I mean, it's sorry. Proposed changing the town name to Alcantia in remembrance of his recently departed lover.
CISO underscore strawberry.
Interesting.
Said, Nimble is more scuffed than Hayami.
Yeah, I am. It's mostly because my computer sucks. Don't tell Hayami I admitted that. The story goes that Alistair had been on the brink of death, and just as he was about to pass on in the afterlife, the ghost of his beloved Alcantria met him on the fringes between life and death and convinced him he needed to live. Ah, so the guy has schizophrenia. He was able to make a recovery, and afterwards he decided to rename the town in honor of his wife and proposed an annual festival in remembrance of her. Then why not call it the Alcantia Festival instead of the Summer Festival? Jesus Christ, Alistair. To this day, we still celebrate the Summer Festival every first weekend of June, though it was once a celebration about cheesy sentiment like the endurance of love and the importance of connection, and devolved into a wonderful excuse to get drunk, light up explosives, and eat lots of cheap food. Wonderful. Sounds like a carnival. Not that the typical Midwestern needed any excuse to do those things. Jesus Christ. Maybe it's because I'm not allowed to drink it, or that most of the food I eat is already pretty cheap, but I always think of this festival in relation to its romantic origins. While I doubt that I'll ever meet anyone who loves me enough to meet me in purgatory to convince me to live, I do like the idea that mood perspectives can open up the world in ways that would be impossible with just your own. I imagine that what Alcantia told Alice was a story of her life, and it was that story that convinced him to live. We need other viewpoints, not just our own, to help us get through life. Real. This visual novel got deep. Then again, most visual novels are pretty deep, unless they're like straight up parody ones. Anyway, as I was having these thoughts, I saw Mrs. Williams managing to flee from Mrs. Johnson's verbal barrage, and decided I would put my sentimental feelings on hold to get some ice cream from the Johnson stall. Hey, Nick. Glad that you could stop by. Walberton and Terrence not with you today? Why did I say it like that? Yeah, just me today. Walberton's family is out fishing.
Armed_Angel13 said, I reporting to Hayami.
No! Do not! She'll never let me live it down! Yeah, just me today. Walberton's family is out fishing, and Terrence has decided he's too cool to go to local festivals. I believe solitude is the way to go. That is one way to get yourself killed. Mr. Johnson chuckled in response. Well, I'll tell you what, kid. Since I don't want you to feel lonely, I'll give you an extra cone. I rolled my eyes, but accepted the charity. Wait. Our protagonist's name is Nick? Next up, it's gonna say his name is Nick Cage, or something. I don't know. Say, wasn't Mrs. Raddick supposed to be helping out with your stall? I feigned concern about the efficiency of their ice cream operation, but I was mostly concerned about the quality. Mrs. Raddick was a quiet woman who didn't talk much, but man, did she know desserts. I was a big fan of her bakery downtown, though I had no doubt she could work her miracles for an ice cream stall too. Mrs. Johnson helped. Yeah, where is Marina? Very unlike her to bail. I'm gonna have to stop by this evening and give her a good scolding. She knows how much the town looks forward to our stall every year. Okay, Mrs. Johnson, you need to chill. Yeah, not like her at all. Hope she's alright. I thanked the Johnsons for the ice cream, struggling to pay with the two cones in my hands, and left them grumbling about Mrs. Raddick's absence. The fireworks show was going to start soon, and I had my special spot to get to. My special fireworks spot was a little clearing at the bottom of a path heading towards the shore. I'm not really a loner, but I always watch the fireworks alone. Valid. This little excursion was my yearly excuse to find myself under the light of a supposed centuries-long romance. I weaved my way through the crowd till I made it to the outskirts of the festival. I finished up my ice cream as nightfall began to settle in. Through the calming ambience of the emerging moon did little to quiet the racket behind me. Is this gonna be a sad ending? I feel like this is gonna be a sad ending. I watched a movie that had like a really sad ending, so yeah, maybe yeah. I never understood fireworks as a group spectacle. Nothing like the cheering of crowds, the hollering of drunks, and the crying of children to kill all the atmosphere. Okay, fair enough. That's why I wanted to watch the fireworks from my special spot. As I was about to head towards the trail to get to my fireworks spot, I saw a girl sitting on the grass by the canal front. Oh! Oh, Oh wait, she was on the thing. Ah, fuck! Okay, it's fine. I need to save anyway. Thank you, game. She wore a simple but elegant summer dress and sat with a downright offensively good posture. Jesus Christ, Nick. Are you jealous that she has better posture than you? Posture. Okay. But what caught my attention the most was the expression on her face. Yeah, that's the same face I make when Hayami and Microwave make out. Anyway, she had a blank look with empty eyes. She was facing the canal, but taking in nothing. It looked like a gust of wind could take her far away from you. Woo! Wee! Sorry. This is supposed to be a serious game. The closer I got, the more I could sense there was a loneliness to her. Solitary fireworks viewing was my thing, but solitude is best when it's chosen, not when it's routine. I thought about the summer festival and what it meant to me.
CISO_strawberry said, Nimble, you're my favorite milk duper.
I'm the only milk PNG tuber you know, but thank you, say so. I thought about the summer festival and what it meant to me, and decided it was worth the attempt to see if there was anything behind that empty expression. I cautiously headed over to her. She didn't look like anyone I knew, so she wasn't from Alcantara. Alcantara is a small town about 5,000 people, and everyone knows each other. 5,000? That's a small town? Okay, fair enough. I would definitely recognize someone from my school. I guessed she was visiting for the festival. How old are you, Nick? Well, the art style changed. Woo! Are you here to see the fireworks? She looked over startled, panicked at having been addressed the same. Her look then turned into a wary sort of glare. Is that the glare I gave Ross? Is that what Ross thinks I look like? Look like in high school before we became friends? Because I feel like that's what he saw. I began to regret...
CISO_strawberry said, emotionally draining endings in games.
So true, so true. So far, I haven't encountered any of those. That's because I'm a cheater. Not in games, not in games. I should stop talking. Because usually I use walkthroughs.
CISO_strawberry said, the art looks so cool.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god. It's so cool. I began to regret my decision.
CISO_strawberry said, shrimp check.
Alright, shrimp check. I've only been here for 18 minutes. I begin to regret my decision. Who voluntarily subjects themselves to small talk? Okay, fair enough. Middle-aged women. After taking her time to glare at me, she answered, Jesus Christ. I am. And then she said nothing else, leaving it up to me to be the conversationalist. No. She continued to look at me as trying to figure out my character, which prevented me from throwing a, well, nice meeting you, see you later, and fleeing. I soldiered on. I'm Nick Fox. Oh my god! I'm guessing you're not from around here. Oh my god! It's the Fox from Zootopia! The protagonist is literally the Fox from Zootopia! You know the one? You know the one? Oh my god, I can't believe it. Can't believe they stuck in a Disney reference. I'm kidding. She hesitated, then slowly nodded her head. Where are you from, then? None of your business. Jesus Christ, woman. Okay, fine, jeez. Keep your secrets. She spat that back at me quickly. A little taken aback, I regretted my soldiering on and thought she would probably just wanted to be left alone. I began walking away when she spoke again. Sorry, there are secrets a girl has to keep to herself. Well, okay, that's fair. I've heard about the summer festival before, but I never got to actually attend. This is my first time getting to go. She seemed more willing to talk now. I thought I saw this faintest glimmer of a smile show up. I suspect it's because guys are easily swayed by smiles, even by the ghost of one, but I decided I could at least be a good host and recommend her a good viewing spot for the fireworks. Well, the fireworks show starts in a few minutes. There's a spot through the path there that has a great view. You're welcome to join me. She hesitated before slowly getting in. Sure. The background. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Debs. The background gives me horror movie vibes. I'm sorry. I nodded and headed towards the path. He walked behind me. So, you got a name? Yes. Dot, dot, dot. She's not gonna tell. I waited for her to tell me her name, but I guess she had that regal air about her. Maybe she wasn't used to dealing with us commoners and then throw her name around so casually. Jesus Christ, Nick. What happened? Come on, use that suave foxiness that makes all the girls thirst over you. Hold on, I'll be right back. No, I'm not a cheater IRL. I only cheat with dating simulators. That's what I was alluding to. Yeah. Anyway. What's your name then? It's Alexandria.
CISO_strawberry said, Nimble, your AI chat reader is like 5 minutes behind live chat.
Yeah, that's because the only reason why I have that on is because I keep forgetting, is that sometimes I can't read the chat. So yeah, it's like 5 minutes behind live chat. It's only because I didn't turn it on as soon as I started stream. You have a last name? I asked because there's a good chance I would know someone she's related to if she was visiting, given that everyone knows everybody around here. Fair enough. There was a brief silence as she thought about it. Who has to think about their name? A lot of people, actually. I'd forget my own name if I didn't have it drilled into my head. Sorry, I can't tell you that. I sighed. Another one of those secrets you girls have to keep? Yes, but I also don't answer strange questions from guys I haven't met before. I mean, it's not exactly a strange question. She was very guarded and short with her responses, but honestly, from the tone of her voice, I got the feeling she wasn't that upset with me. What gave it away, Nick? What gave it away? Okay, BRB. Anyways, usually I'm a pretty decent employee, waiting until, like, my boss tells me, yeah, you can go home now. But today, I got a little upset at him because, well, one, he's an old man who didn't hear what I said. Because how the hell did you get 6 from 15? Anyway, so, yeah, so I just, put down my paper thing and then walked out through the back door and just drove home early. But hey, at least it gives me time to prep for this stream. So yeah, we exited the trail and the clearing emerged. This looks darker than the light. This looks so green. I'm sorry. It's a good game. I like the game. I sat down where you could see the fireworks best. I decided to break the ice by introducing myself. Well, I'm Nick Fott. You literally introduced yourself earlier! Nick! Nick, you are so Rizless! I'm a senior elk. Antia, hi, it's nice to meet you. She sat down a good distance away from me and gave me another wary glance. Jesus Christ, who introduces himself again? Tell me, do you often try to pick up strange girls at night? Okay, fair enough. Huff. For all she knows, we could be a serial killer. Well, at least she recognized she was strange. I decided to jab back. Oh no. No, I don't, and I'm guessing you're not used to being talked to. She gave a sad sort of smile that made me regret my little jab. Jesus Christ, Nick. Nick the dick. Dick. This reminds me of, when, there's this one person that was playing Fire Emblem Awakening, and, he called Frederick, one of the guys that guards Crom. Fred Dick. No, I'm not used to being talked to. Oh, no. That made me regret my jab even more. Yeah, apologize. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Don't worry about it. Silence descended between us, and I tried to think of a reassuring platitude to give her while she sat calmly with a dignified air. She may have been lonely, but she was used to it. Honestly, same. The thought made me a little sad. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought that was a spider! I thought that was a spider! I saw it, I thought it was a spider! Oh my god! Hold on, I gotta mute this. I gotta... Alright, I have returned. Okay, before I said anything, the fireworks then began. A dazzling and dizzling light show accompanied by distant cheers. Even with all the noise, the silence between Alexandria and I was much more striking. What the heck are these kinds of fireworks? What the heck? I wasn't paying that much attention to the show. The novelty and the rest of the experience became much more interesting. I glanced over and saw that her expression had changed a little. What the heck is this? Not by a lot, though. I'm guessing not even the thunder of explosives could completely wipe away whatever melancholic feeling she might have felt. But this time, that empty look was accompanied by the hopeful glimmer of a smile. Despite having given up my solitary tradition, it was probably worth it to share a part of my world with her. When the show ended, I probably won't see her again. Mildly hopeless as I am, I wanted the sentiment of the festival to ring true. After a moment of time that felt like it lasted both mere seconds and an eternity, the fireworks were over. All that we were left with was the afterglow of the celebration and the growing glow of the stars above. So, you enjoy the show? If you're visiting, there's not a lot to do here, but at the very least, the people here have no gunpowder. Dang it, Armed isn't even here. Armed isn't even here to enjoy it. Wait, who's raiding with a party of 8? What?
Stein Brunson said, Cozy Gang Raid.
Oh my god!
Steen of Joy, Steen of Joy, Steen of Joy, Tomb Raid, Tomb Raid, Tomb Raid.
What?
CISO_strawberry said, Let's go. Rian cosplay said, Enough 55 hot. CISO_strawberry said, Welcome Raiders.
Oh my god. Who told them? Who told... I am... Can you tell this is my first time having Raiders? Oh my god. I knew... thank you? Thank you for this? Thank you for raiding my stream.
Stein Brunson said, Thank you at CISO_strawberry.
Oh my god. Okay, let's see. Oh my god. Thank you, Raiders. She got up and dusted off her dress. I did. It was a great show. She hesitated and continued on, speaking very hurriedly like she thought she might not get the opportunity to do so later. I've been in a position where I don't get to interact with people very often, especially people my age, so I'm sorry if I was a little awkward. I don't have many friends. I have everything I need and very little of what I actually want. Oh, she's rich. I'm sorry. But recently, something good happened to me, and I got the opportunity to come here. I had heard of the summer festival, and I love the story of the town of Alcantara. As for hobbies, I read a lot of novels of all types, but I love mysteries and romances the most. Ooh, okay, fair enough. I can't tell you my last name, my situation, or where I'm from, but at the very least, I can tell you I'm very glad you invited me to see the fireworks with you. Aww. She flashed me a bright smile. While the lonely look sort of suited her, I thought this one suited her more. Nick, don't. Anyway, I have to go now. My, caretakers will be waiting for me. Yep, definitely. She's definitely a rich girl. Caretakers? I guess she wasn't staying with family while she was visiting. She gave me a small wave. Bye, Nick. I waved back. See you later, Alexandria. She headed back towards the trail. I sat in the silence, left her own wake for a bit, and then followed suit. On the way home, I became reflective again, thinking of the world she lived in and what it was like. Thinking about that, I began to hope I might see her again. Oh, Nick. Part 2. Endless Night.
Stein Brunson said, Gonna Stina blurt, but hope you have a great stream.
Thank you. Phew, it's okay if you lurk, it's okay. Thank you. Perhaps I was looking for a place to die. Yeah, it was dark. sorry. I'll be serious. I will be serious. I'm sorry. That caught me so off guard. Oh my god. What do you mean you were looking for a place to die? Jesus. Alright. Oh, Mother Milk is home. I must greet her. Nimble is a bit scuffed, so it's common to get lag. Jesus Christ. This is the first stream you've been in, say so. They certainly didn't make an effort to get out of the way of the motorcyclists. I don't know if it was because I couldn't or because I didn't want to. Wait, did our protagonist die? I had been walking up a slope on the north side of town. It was nighttime and the cool air betrayed the beginning of the warm season we were supposed to be in. As I hit near the top of the slope, I heard the shrill cry of an engine. By the time I looked up, the motorcycle had already lost control going around the turn at the top of the slope, and in the next moment it was barreling towards me. I barely had time to register the pain before I was flat on my back, gasping for breath. Oh, God. I turned my head back to see the motorcyclist. They had hit a tree and would have been dead on impact. I knew I would soon join them. I returned to my hometown of Alcantara after many years. I didn't know why I came back. I hated the place. I had bad memories from my previous time here. The streets, the water, the air, all of it was
Ciso_strawberry
guilt and regret.
Said, Nimble, can you use your phone to read chat? That was a good 8 minutes ago.
I am, though. I am reading my phone. I am reading the chat on my phone. Hold on, I just got back. Anyway. Oh, wait, so it's not Nick. Because the color is different. Okay. No matter where I looked, what I did, or who I talked to, I couldn't get away from those feelings. I tried to escape, but it was futile. No one can run away from themselves. This wasn't such a bad place to die. It was quiet and peaceful, and on the top of the slope gave me a great view of the stars. I used to love looking at the stars. They shined so brightly to me before. Or looking at them now, they barely shone at all. It's funny, looking at the stars now. They seemed further away than ever, even though I was about to join them. I reached my hand out to try to grasp a star. Of course, my hand never came close. I let my hand fall back to the ground. I wasn't close to the sky, the stars, or to her. Oh, now finally I might be able to see her again. My evanescent but ever-present ghost. I'll be with you soon. Let's dance among the stars, you and I. Smiling, I closed my eyes, and I faded. Faded. I was fading, but it was getting closer and closer to a bright light. It was far too bright. This sort of radiance, this sort of warmth. I didn't deserve it. I could hear a woman's voice beckoning me to come. Oh, I'm not falling for that! I'm not stupid enough to go towards the light. No one as beautiful as that. Not one as beautiful as that. The woman was pleading, begging for me to join her. I saw a glimpse of what lay behind that light. It was wonderful and happy. It was too good to be true. Sorry, I'm looking to be reunited with a ghost, but you can't be the one I'm looking for. The ghost I'm looking for wouldn't beckon me to a wondrous place like this. It turned away from the light. There was no place for me there. If that was heaven, that's not what I deserved. I'm wretched and despicable, and I deserve punishment. Honestly valid. Ignoring the pleading, crying, and begging from the woman's voice behind me, I faded away. Again. And faded. This time, I headed towards a deep darkness. Yes, this is where I belong. Once again, I heard a woman's voice. This time, the voice simmered with scorn, words filled with malice. The tones were dripping with venom. Yes, you must be the ghost I'm looking for. Oh, God. I headed to the darkness and to her voice. It was a voice filled with so much hatred, but it was enticing and rapturing to me. This is where I belong. This is where it will end for me. I faded away. I faded. I feel like hey guys, I think he's faded. And faded away. Oh, so many dots. It's a hospital. I woke up to the irritating beeping of a vital signs monitor. With some effort, I managed to sit up in my bed. I glanced around the room. I figured out quickly that I was in a hospital. I'm guessing my injury was pretty bad. My arms and legs seemed to work fine, though I was hooked up to several machines. I was alone in that room with nothing but the sterility of the hospital atmosphere to keep me company. It wasn't pleasant company, and I wanted to find a bundle with the medical staff over, but I figured it'd be a bad idea to just pressing buttons. I'd wait for the return of a nurse or doctor. Doctor. I laid back down and reflected on the current situation. I didn't seem to be dying. My body worked. My mind worked, but I was strangely empty. Yes, that's the word to describe it. Empty. There's nothing to me, but only lingering feelings of guilt and sorrow. I didn't know why I felt guilty. I didn't know why I felt sad. I tried to think about my situation. Obviously, I must have some people in my life that would be concerned about me. There must be around somewhere. I tried to think of who those people would be. Are there any? I tried to remember friends. I couldn't remember any. Lovers? I must have had some, but I couldn't remember any. Perhaps I was a hermit and didn't associate with others. Okay. Okay, then, let's think about me. Me. What's my name? I don't know. What's my age? I don't know. Where am I from? I don't know. What did I do? I don't know. What happened to me? People know these things about themselves. How can I answer those questions? Obviously, my brain is working, but I guess it's not working as well as it should. I started to panic. I realized why I felt so empty. Without no memories, there was no me. I was only an outer shell with nothing inside. My breathing quickened and I started grasping at the machine bound to me. I need to get out of here, anywhere but here. It must be the hospital. I'm not responding well to whatever's happening to me. I need to change the scenery, maybe some fresh air. That might help jog my memory. Sensing my panic, a chubby man with a graying head of hair matching a graying beard came in. Seeing my tangled frenzy with the nearby machines, brushed over. Stop, calm down, you're alright. Let me explain the situation, you'll be alright. Saying that wasn't going to calm me down, but I was weaker than I thought because he easily took my hands off their devices and gently laid me back down in the bed. It struck me that I was being stupid. Of course the doctor would know something about me and we could go from there. Rationale would be prevailing and I calmed down. While the doctor took deep breaths and patted out some sweat off his forehead with a handkerchief, I asked him, "So, what's wrong with me?" The doctor stopped sweat pat to look at me. He slowly put the handkerchief away and did his best to rearrange his face into a calm expression. Well, no time for pleasantries, I guess, but regardless, it's good to see you awake. I better start from the beginning and then we can figure out your condition. You've been unconscious in the hospital for a week. Damn. You were hit by a motorcycle and the impact caused quite a bit of damage. It's a miracle you're alive and as well. You are, none of your injuries are life-threatening. Unfortunately, you also had some spinal and head damage. The damage to your head was particularly nasty. A head injury? My stomach began to drop in realization. Now, if you asked there was something wrong with you, physically you took some damage, but nothing to warrant anything as dramatic as saying there's something wrong with you. Please tell me how you're feeling and I'll try to illuminate as much as I can. I gave it to him bluntly. I can't remember anything. Doctor frowned at that. Well, obviously that's not completely true. You definitely remember some things, but the possibility of memory loss is something we're worried about given the potential trauma of the injury. Let's work out what you can and cannot remember. Can you remember who you are? I shook my head. Not even your name? I shook my head again. Then you can't remember any family friends? I shook my head a third time. Do you have any strong recollections, like particularly strong associations of joy or sorrow, even if you can't remember the detail? I thought about it. Now that he mentioned it, I did feel a deep pangs of guilt and sorrow somewhere within me. I told the doctor as much. Okay, let's return that a bit. You remember how to talk, so you must remember a lot of other things. It's clear that you remember how, and I know this is a big description of how things work. Like you know how math works, so your cognitive abilities are still working. Let's try a different round. Do you remember how apples taste?
Cecil_strawberry said, I've been in here long enough to realize that you are more scuffed than Hayami.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I'm eating. Yeah, actually I do. I know what they taste like. Interesting. We played a game of 20 questions. My initial self-diagnosis was pretty off. I remembered plenty of things. In fact, it seemed like I remembered most things. I remembered that the Cowboys won the 1997 Super Bowl, that Bill Clinton was the president, things like that. Oh, right, this is old. The only things I couldn't remember were anything to do with me. And so far, I seem to be making new memories just fine. Now, this is highly unusual. Post-traumatic amnesia isn't particularly uncommon, but most amnesiacs experience anterograde amnesia, as they can't make new memories. We monitored the situation, but it looks like you have an highly unusual case of retrograde amnesia.
Cecil_strawberry said, oh god, then your Wi-Fi is super lazy. I see.
Yeah, it's probably my Wi-Fi. That's when you can't remember previously stored memories. In those cases, usually just involving forgetting relatively recent memories, not long-term ingrained ones. Even more so, to have a highly specific type of retrograde amnesia where only certain types of memories are affected. It happened in Boys Over Flowers. Here's where the male lead forgot the female lead in every way, shape, or form. Like, you can remember her cooking, but he can't remember anything else about her until she decided to drown herself. I never heard of it happening. I suspect that in time you'll recover your memories. I hope so. I want to know this guy's name. I know he's not Nick. I suspect that the specificality of your amnesia is more likely to lie with your psychological condition rather than your physical. You mentioned strong remnants of feelings of guilt and sorrow. It's likely those feelings are the root cause of your current condition. The accident was the motorcyclist was merely a catalyst that allowed this to happen. That seemed far-fetched, but I decided to trust the doctor. There's a lot to take in, but it was reassuring that he thought I'd get my memories back. Then I realized we were forgetting something obvious. Of course we could figure out who I was. There had to be someone in the area who knew me. I brought this up to the doctor, but his face darkened. Well, send notifications about this. His reports will be filed, but no one has come forward regarding you. We're in Alcantia, a small town in northern Michigan. Perhaps it's an area you're not from, so identification from a local who knows you might not be possible. If that's the case, then it might take some time for the police to track down where you're from. Cantria. That name sounded so familiar. I was positive that I knew the area. No, it was more that I knew about the area. Alcantia must be associated with those lingering feelings of regret and sadness I have. It must have been a part of me, which made it strange that no one had come forward to identify me. I was hit by a motorcyclist, meaning I was out walking. Surely I had some form of ID on me. The doctor's face became even more calm. Well, you had a wallet. Perfect! There's no way my driver's license was in there, unless I didn't have one. But there was no ID in it. Great! I don't remember who I am, and apparently who I was a loser who couldn't drive. Real. Actually, there is someone who wants to talk to you about that. We have good reason to think your wallet was tampered with. Oh, you mean they stole the money? No, the money is still in there. You still have your $13.27. The tampering was more malicious than that. The doctor gave a big sigh. Honestly, I think you'll need more time to process all of this, but the person who wants to meet you is quite insistent, and it's urgent that she meet you as soon as possible. She's going to be sorely disappointed by your condition. His glum face became even glummer. I hope he had enough saved for retirement. He probably deserved it. Aww. Frankly, the matter is probably as urgent. Are you okay with seeing her? Why do I have a feeling that this is actually Nick? I am? Okay, I'll update her about your condition and let her in to see you. The doctor got up and walked out the door, leaving me to stew in anticipation. At this point, I was more curious than nervous. Now, 10 minutes later, a woman walked in. Oh no. Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not Nick. It's not Nick. Okay, so the guy is not Nick. She marched in like she owned the place. She glanced at me before taking out a cigarette and putting it in her mouth. You shouldn't smoke in the hospital, ma'am. Thought of her lighter, looked at me again, probably reflecting on the legality of smoking in hospitals, and then lit the cigarette anyway. The doctor didn't come in with her, which I was mildly alarmed given her lack of concern for his patient. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but there was something familiar about this detective. Maybe it was the mannerisms. They reminded me of memories I felt I might have had. After taking a drag on her cigarette, she acknowledged me with, "So, pretty rough spot you're in, huh?" Before I gave her a response, she continued, "She is pretty, though." I'm Detective Scarlet Storm. Work for the Alcalia police. I tried to get a cool code name like Red Thunder, but they turned me down. So, Detective Storm it is. Honestly, that's cool. She then pulled out a chair, and I leaned in towards me with an unhinged gleam in her eye. Oh god, it's Hayami Habinohami. She felt more like a hunter than a detective. I was a patient now, but I'd be pricing her. You know about my current condition then? Sure do. Crazy stuff. A little too crazy for a small place like this. She tilted her head and glared at me like my amnesia ticked her off personally. Hey, it's not my fault. Yes, I may be a storm, but I know the importance of order. Some things have got to be done right. I can't have a conversation without a proper introduction. Now, I know you don't remember your name, so we'll have to come up with a temporary name for you. I agreed that was probably going to be awkward to go around nameless in the near future. I nodded. Okay then, let's come up with a name. How about something simple like John? Dumbest thing I've ever heard! Fair enough. You don't look like a John at all. What does a John look like anyway? I realized I had no idea what I looked like since there were no mirrors here. I didn't remember my appearance. Oh no, poor guy. Okay, so not John then. What I look like then, we're using appearance inside my name. And while we're at it, how old do I look? You look like you were dumped by your girlfriend at 10 years old, steady but not committing, up to tying the knot. Cried your eyes out and cleaned up afterwards. Then got out and got hit by a car. Or a motorcycle in your case. Hey, that's mean. She laughed at my shocked look and then continued. You're a little over 6 foot with a medium muscular build. You got short brown hair and some weird stubble thing going on. Okay. And you have some sad-ass eyes. I'm not great at guessing these sort of things, but I'm guessing you're in your early 30s. Once I got over the shock of her description, I vowed to take a shower and look in a mirror, but that could wait. I wanted to hear what this case was all about, and for that to happen, I needed a name. So, looks like I've seen better days, I guess. Remember, the name should be unique, not some John. I don't know what she had against the Johns in her life. It took some time to think about my name, while Detective Storm tapped her foot impatiently. How about something like Victor? Victor? What does a Victor have to do with 6 foot? The 6 foot bump? Hey! I don't remember! Something about the letter V stirs up strong emotions in me, like I have some long negative association with it, and without currently feeling negative is the way to go. She gave me a long look before rolling her eyes. Okay, Victor it is. Let's get down to business then, Victor. As the doctor let you know, your wallet is very interesting. There's no ID in your wallet. Instead, in the little fold where the driver's license typically would be, there was a piece of paper with some words written on them. Words funny enough that the wallet found its way from the medical folks all the way to me. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small rectangular piece of paper. She held it out towards me. You think you can handle it? Of course I can. I found out on amnesia today. I can handle anything. I grabbed the note. On the paper in the bright red letters, this was written, Die! I kid. Her blood is on your hands. Okay, that's creepy. I stared at the note. I stared at it. I didn't remember what I remembered. That the only part of my memory that remained was a lingering feeling of sadness and guilt. I didn't know who her was. I didn't know what I had done to her, but the message on the note felt right. The note was startling, not shocking. This note was proof that there was an I that had existed. Now I had to deal with this. Did I want to know who that was? The doctor said my condition was probably psychological. Perhaps there are some things that I'll have forgotten. I gave the note back to Detective Storm, who was carefully scrutinizing me, looking for any hint of a reaction. I must have been pretty pathetic to do something bad that I felt the need to try to forget what I had done. Man, I didn't like my girl. Honestly, fair point. So, was there a murder? She pulled out another cigarette before answering. There was. Brutal one. All I could do was smile at the ridiculousness of it. I might be the first amnesia to be a suspect for a murder. Detective Storm must have realized what I was thinking. Oh, don't worry about being a suspect. There's no way you committed the murder. I tilted my head at her questioningly. The murder was hours ago. Your alibi is airtight. I already had the note before the murder was committed. However, you must understand this is all pretty suspicious. Even if you're not the murderer, you've got to consider you were involved in all this. I nodded. That's understandable. There are a lot of possibilities considered. One, someone who discovered your body didn't like you and decided to pull an elaborate prank. Two, this could be in reference to a past event and not related to the murder case I'm currently investigating. Third, it could be a message message unrelated to the murder. And lastly, it might have been a message you left for yourself. Now, there's still plenty I'd like to know about the person who left you this message. As why they decided to replace your ID with that note, I have no idea. Well, if it was you, I'm interested why you left yourself that note. It really was bizarre. The scenarios in which someone left me never seem so impossible. Why would they do that? What purpose would leaving the note serve, given I've just been hit by a motorcycle? And if I left that note for myself, it begged the question of what I had done and whose blood was on my hands. Perhaps the note was supposed to be a reminder of my guilt, but even so, it was a strange thing to do. Your unfortunate condition has put quite a damper on the potential role you might assert in helping with the investigation. Oh, Jackal! It's not often we get murders around here, and any lead would have helped us. She leaned toward me, and I once again caught that unhinged glimmer. Even so, I'd like your help with the case. And as such, I've asked the doctor if it would be alright if you were to come along and stay with me for the duration of the investigation. From what I hear, you don't have anywhere to go anyway. Until some friends or family come to bail you off for dealing with a hottie like me, I appreciate your cooperation. Okay. She gave me a wicked smile, and like she made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Something about that smile seemed so familiar, even though it was impossible that I'd known her. That made me a little hesitant. Still, I didn't want to turn down her offer for the sake of getting my memories back more than anything. I owed it not to myself, but to the woman whose blood was on my hands. Now, let's look on the bright side. Staying with a detective would be staying cooped up in a hospital room crazy for not remembering things. Who am I? Well, that's easy. I'm a amnesiac, potentially involved in a murder case. You know, I was joking when I said there's probably a serial killer somewhere. Who was I? I could have been a murderer. I could have been an accomplice to a murder. I could have just been an idiot who got caught up in a murder. Maybe I was just a nobody. I could have been anybody and done anything. Who would I be? Who will I be? That was the real question. I got the feeling that once I remember who I was, that who I was would determine who I would be. Having made up my mind, I nodded towards Detective Storm. It would be my pleasure, Detective Storm. I look forward to working with you. She nodded back. Should we warn you, though, might be a spooky case. What do you mean? Many local residents think there's a supernatural element at work. Ah, that's where the ghost comes in. They're saying these murders are being done for the ghost of Alcantara. Oh. Oh, that's the prologue? Okay, how are we on time, folks? How are we on time? Oh, we are at an hour. I do want to try to play a different game every day. Like a couple of games, because I got quite a few games. June 17th, 1987. Oh, we're back to Nick again. Okay. Well. Food. I woke up at a bright and early noon, 30 days after the festival. The 12:30. The day after the festival. I had a groggy staring contest with my ceiling, glanced around my messy room that needed to be clean, and headed down to eat breakfast. Or brunch. Or whatever meal label my mother would sarcastically give. I trudged down the stairs, but stopped once I heard whispering. My mom and dad were chatting with Uncle Kyle around their dinner table, but rather than the boisterous wall of noise I expected the arrival of a relative to cause, the trio spoke in hushed tones. They obviously didn't want me to hear what they were talking about. Something was up. Uncle Kyle was a detective, and he wouldn't show up unannounced unless something had happened. Knowing they would shut up if I joined them at the table, I crept at the bottom of the stairs to eavesdrop. Oh! Okay, so it looks like Nick either has his dad's hair and his mom's eyes, or his mom's hair and his dad's eyes. And judging by this, Kyle must be our mom's brother because he has the same blue eyes. Was it that bad, Kyle? I could see everyone from where I was hiding. Uncle Kyle just nodded glumly and looked into his coffee mug like it contained a dead dog inside. Uncle Kyle's my mom's bro. Oh! Yes! All three of them went down. Cantria. I think I meant to say hi, but my parents stuck around the area like many people growing up around here do, but Uncle Kyle took the more exciting route and left for the big city. Both my parents work at school as teachers. But when something exciting happens, the state detective is called in to investigate, and Uncle Kyle has shown up several times over the years. His first case was dealing with serial sock stealer. Why specifically socks? But a murder in Alcantria? This must be a first for him. Yeah, it was a nasty piece of work. Never seen a murder like it. The body was cut into pieces. Each limb was severed from the main body and then cut into several more pieces. Placed in various locations in the house. Dear God! So we're dealing with a serial killer. The head was taken off and put on the doors would be the first thing you see when you enter the house. God damn. The main torso had a area of stab wounds. Tell you what, I've been doing this for a while now, and no murder.
CISO_strawberry said, Nimble, don't worry, I don't watch other PNG tubers other than you.
I don't mind. I don't mind if you watch other people. Threw up looking at the blood all over the place. Mrs. Johnson is downright traumatized. I don't blame her. Wait, what? Was it her husband? No! Oh, wait. Mrs. Johnson? The ice cream stall lady? If she's traumatized, she must have been the one who discovered the body or what was left of him. Then if she discovered the body, who was murdered? And the question was answered immediately. Poor Marina. I can't believe someone would do that to her. Everyone liked her. No! Oh my god! Marina. That must mean Marina Raddick, the lady who was supposed to help out at the ice cream stall yesterday. So that's why she didn't show up. I guess Mrs. Johnson discovered the body while going to check up on her. Wasn't she supposed to be at the Johnson stall last night? So the murder happened later that night then? No, she never showed up for the summer festival. She was killed in the afternoon. The killer was bold to do it during the day. Must have been banking on everyone in the neighborhood being at the festival. With bad luck, there were no witnesses. Oh god. No signs of a break-in either. All the doors were locked except for the front door, and the lock didn't show any signs of being tampered with. It's likely that Marina knew the person who killed her, and she let them in herself. Oh. The festival starts at 10 a.m. and is full swing by the afternoon. Given how big a deal the festival is, the whole town shows up for it. Oh god. If the murder was later in the afternoon or early in the evening, there was a good chance the majority of the neighborhood would be at the festival. Who would she know who they would do so? Who's such a thing? Uncle Kyle just shrugged. Don't know, but whoever they are, they must really hate her. My father leaned in expectantly.
CISO_strawberry said, Nimble, what does your note say?
My note? Oh, you mean the thing on my head? It's milk in Chinese. Nothing obvious. No witnesses, nothing left at the scene to hide the body. Right now, we're looking to people acquainted with her and might have a motive. Okay. So this is the story of two people, technically. So there's Nick, and then there's Victor. Okay. Mrs. Raddick was pretty well liked, so there can't be that many people who were big enough for her to do something like this. We'll start with the usual. Family members, past history, lovers, colleagues, stuff like that. Suspects? Just a few. Delisle Loving Smith of the Classy Jack had a very public fight with her a few days ago. Professor Shack clearly had a thing for her that never worked out for him. Oh god. Johnson had an affair with Marina's ex-husband. And of course, there's the Thorns. She used to work for them. Uncle Kyle sighed at his coffee. I've been here since last night. Haven't slept a wink since I got the call. Guessing it wasn't be the only sleepless night. Why did I become a detective? For real. I thought this was a fairly alarming thing for a detective on the case to say, but my parents didn't seem to care. What was she arguing about with Delilah? The new tourism proposal. Of course, they need to do with the new proposal, put the Thorns family under suspicion. The family is currently our number one suspect. Though I can't imagine they'll make your investigation easy. Now that right? Uncle Kyle gave another big sigh. It looked like he'd be happy to drown himself in his coffee. This would be a pain. The Thorns reside in a mansion in the southwest part of town on a hill that overlooks the business district. To call them influential around here would be an understatement. They are Trail, quite literally. The descendants of Alistair Thorne. Oh! They're descendants of Alistair Thorne, the past leader who changed the town name to Trea. They originally gained influence from mining and commodizing the copper found to the west of Alcatraz. While the copper mines haven't been operational for a long time, they incorporated the fishing and logging area offered to their business endeavors and remain the financial focus of Kentrea. To speak of money in Kentrea is to speak of the Thorne family. Given how much money they have, you can imagine how much power they have. They ran this town shortly after it was founded in the 1850s, and they run it now. I say they, but the Thorne family consists of 2 people and the staff who work for them. Thorns themselves consist of God Thorne, who is a trillion years old, and his son Vlad. Thorne, the wife of Edgar, died 18 years ago. Edgar is this old stick that nobody likes, which is just as well because nobody sees him anymore. He keeps himself cooped up in their mansion. Vlad is the public face of the family, and he's a funny, friendly, and charismatic dude. Vlad and Edgar actually disagree on a lot of stuff, including the recent tourism proposal, which is Edgar's idea. Trea is going through sort of a civil war, as close as a civil war is as a town of 5,000 can get. I guess Elgar decided the influence of the family could always be improved, so he proposed a tourism group meant to promote the locales of Trea. Alcantara is separated from a nearby town called Amatra by a canal, and the lift bridge that crosses the canal that has quite a reputation. Of course, most of the locals enjoy utilizing the canal and become a tourist destination, becoming the tourist destination would put a major damper on local recreational activities. It's not a popular idea amongst a lot of folk, though others think it could be a great way to bring people out. Trail, given our dwindling population. Blade has voiced his intent towards the idea, which makes the Thorne family itself split on the issue. Why would the Thorns want to get rid of Marina? Marina wasn't involved with the tourism proposal. Don't be naive, honey. You can't trust that family. She worked for them in the past, and you just know they have skeletons in their closet. I bet they killed or shut her up about something that would make the proposal go awry. No doubt Vlad and Egler are working together. If Vlad voices his intent, it makes the Thorne family not seem so bad as a whole, and then Vlad would take over soon anyway, so it's best if he looks good to the locals. Okay, fair enough, Mom. Gardina's probably right. Her name's Gardenia? Let me guess. His dad has a flower-related name, too. We don't know why they want to kill Marina, but we have to be suspicious. If it was the Thorne family, it probably wouldn't be Egler or Vade who did the actual killing. They have plenty of connections and enough money to convince other people to do the dirty work. Marina knew plenty of people, and I'm sure some of those people could be bought even for a murder. Trying to find those trails is where we'll start. Of course, getting the Thorns to cooperate is not going to be a whole lot of fun. Uncle Kyle gave a massive yawn and then made up to get abruptly crept back up the stairs and then stomped down as loudly as I could to conceal my eavesdropping. When I reached the kitchen, the adults were all trying to pretend they had been discussing a murder. I thought I could hear Uncle Kyle talking, so I rushed down. So what happened? Oh, we were having a lively discussion about a wonderful summer day. Nick is a senior, so he's probably 18. He's not stupid. So Uncle Kyle came all this way to talk about the weather. He sure did. He wanted to be a meteorologist as a kid. Uncle Kyle and my dad looked at my mom like she was an idiot, which she sometimes was. I did not want to be a meteorologist. My dad looked kind of hurt. I'm the one who wanted to be a meteorologist. Really? You think I remember that? Right, you think you would. I guess I got more important things from oh god, more important than your husband's dreams. Uncle Kyle ignored my parents and did his best to put on a serious face, which just made him look even more tired than usual. And he was always tired. Nick, I'm sorry to have to say this, but there was a murder yesterday. Well, might as well. Hey, Marina Raddick was the one who was killed. I'm investigating the case currently. I did my best to put on a shocked face. Really? A murder? In Alcantara? Uncle Kyle knows we snooped. Yeah, but don't worry, we'll get it figured out. So, any investigation details you can tell me? Couldn't hurt to tie. Maybe he was feeling talkative. Perhaps I could learn some more than what I learned from eavesdrop. Absolutely not, Nicholas Fox. Your mother is right. Uncle Kyle's... Sorry, Nick. Have to keep quiet about this for now. He gave a big yawn. I'm gonna try to get some sleep while I can. I got a long couple of weeks ahead of me trying to convince a powerful family to admit to their wrongdoing. He went upstairs to get his well-deserved rest. My mom gave me my brunch bacon, which I inhaled. I wonder how the rest of the town was reacting to the news. It's hard to imagine routine life here being disturbed by anything, but if something could do it, it would be murder. My dad cleared his throat. Nick, your mother and I discussed it earlier, and we decided it's okay for you to hang out in town like you normally do. That said, we'd like you to be a little more cautious out there. Honestly, your dad is such a worried word. Can't hide in our houses. Best we can do is just keep on living. What are you guys gonna do today, then? I'm probably gonna see Walbert and then Terrence. My mom made a face at that. Them again? You see them nearly every day. Why don't you try hanging out with Jenny? Jenny is our neighbor and a longtime friend of mine. I basically never see her anymore because basketball consumed her life. She has basketball wrong. What about the girl you dated a while back? What was her name again? Mom is trying to get Nick to date. Nick's mom is trying to get him to date somebody. Hey, it's not gonna work, Mom. Gardenia. Jennifer was 3 years ago. We broke up a long time ago, Mom. We did it for like 3 weeks. But she was such a nice girl. Mom, stop trying to set up your son. She cheated on me! Only once. Because I broke up with her! I shook my head in wait. Okay, I feel a little sus of Mom now because she's willing. She is so willing to try to get her son to hang out with another girl that she brings up a girl who cheated on him 3 years ago. What do you mean only once? Any reason it's gotta be girls, Mom? She wants grandchildren. I want grandchildren. Honey, he's 17. Oh, he's 7. You're 17 and a senior, Nick? Damn, you must be smart. So, 3 years of dating, their marriage, and 3 kids. He needs to get moving. Howard Fox, you and I will soon be ancient history. I have nothing to show for it because we're both school teachers and don't make any money. Okay, Mom, you need to chill. We need Nick to make something of his life and get family and kids. Get another kid! I told you should have finished the masters. And I should have dated the engineer in our class. You mean Tim? Oh, he's in jail now, didn't you hear? Oh. My mom let out this dramatic laugh. No shit, for real? I rolled my eyes, but I could do worse for parents. I finished up my food, got ready, and headed out to see if Walbert and Terrence were willing to hang out. I waved goodbye and let them gossip about Tim the engineer. Neither Walbert or Terrence live particularly close to me, but that's not a particularly big deal in Alcendio. Bike, it takes about half an hour to get from one end of the town to the other. I have a little urban area with a Walmart and stuff towards the south part of town, and a classy old school downtown area more towards the northeast. But the pride of Alcendia is our canal front path to the downtown area. Walbert and Terrence both live as neighbors in the middle of town, and live pretty close to the business district at the southern end of town. So I pass quite a few people along the way. It seemed like it was business as usual. I guess people felt like my mom did. Shouldn't people more disturbed about a murder happening here? Turned out not everyone was calm. The first thing out of Warburton's mouth when I showed up at his house was this. Oh, that's him. Dude, holy shit, did you hear? Never mind. Obviously you heard. Mr. Rage must be staying with you. Well, do you have any details? This is wild, man. I did know some details, but I probably shouldn't tell Walter Bergen. There was no doubt he spilled everything I told him to everyone he knows, and I didn't want to get Uncle Kyle in trouble. Fair enough. Kyle must be a good uncle. Sorry, man. Don't know anything besides Maria Radek being murdered. Damn, did you say that? But I had to ask. Ask my dad about. Said in his 30 years of living out. He's never heard of anything like this happening. We talked about the incident some. Walburton must have been really rattled. We talk about pretty much everything from the weather, her true relationship, the fragility of human existence, but with Waterbergen, it usually comes back on sports. He loves sports. Unfortunately, the universe does not love him as much as he loves sports. He is around 5'4" and quite chubby, but he does the best of what he's got. I've been thinking about Miss Radek. I'm pretty sure she's a daughter in here. She's been in Canty a long time, though she and her husband split some years back and he lives somewhere else now. I think her name was Alicia. Yeah, that's the daughter's name. I think she's still in the area. I hope she's doing okay. Someone should go pay her a visit, make sure she's safe, and let her know we're all here for her. Damn, even my friends are trying to set me up with girls. He gave me a tap on the shoulder. I know that brain of yours ain't up for detective work, but you let Mr. Rage know. He should keep an eye out. Shea might be a vendetta against the family. I told him I would. Warburton is pretty popular at school. I attribute it to his heart of gold. He's a funny dude, but he's also a genuinely kind guy. Parents like to call us the optimistic pair. Well, Bern and I are pretty cheery guys, but he's better at the cheery thing than me. He's a glass half full kind of dude, but the type that would just pour more water in the glass if he thought it looked empty. I'm a glass half full kind of dude, but because I'm a believer, he's a realist, I'm a romantic. You want to hang out some? I know you're always looking at an excuse to go. If it impressed Jenny. Walbert grimace. No, sorry man. Promise my mom will help over some chores. Next time for sure. And I told him no problem, and I went on my way. I started my way to Terrence's place next. Walburn and Terrence are polar opposites. They say opposites attract romantic partners, but I think it's more likely that's true in the case of friends. It's true for both, actually. Walburn and I have been friends for as long as I remember, but sometime in the middle school, Walburn adopted Terrence to her friend. It was surprising since they fought with each other all the time, but I guess somewhere along the line they found respect for each other from all the fights. Oh! Yeah, I wonder what Nick looks like then. When I arrived at Terrence's, the first thing he brought up was the murders, just like Walburton. So, your uncle is staying with you? Yep. You know any details? Nope. Figures. What's the point of being connected if you can't take advantage of it? Tell Mr. Rage he's not doing a very good job of being a corrupt cop. When he does become a corrupt cop, you send him my way and I'll do my best to learn. I'll let him know. Wait, since when did you want to become a cop? I don't, but I like to be corrupt for sure. Small place like this, hard to make anything for yourself here. I tried to make a helpful suggestion. You could be a good person and make something for yourself. That's some bullshit that you do. Good people ain't becoming successful. Damn it, Terrence. Well, I guess I shouldn't root for your rise to top then. He shook up his head at my not understanding his ambition. Still, I wonder what's up with the killer for the Radek case. Word is that the murder was absolutely brutal. I wonder what must go through the head of someone unwilling to do something like that. Terrence, you would do well in being a criminal psychologist. Terrence liked to psychoanalyze. Walburton is his favorite subject. He thinks that boy has issues. I'm guessing the killer is a psychopath. Doesn't think about right or wrong in the same way most people do. I don't think that's going on with this case. This sort of murderous display screams to me that the killer was trying to send a message, or this was some fucked up therapy for the killer. It seems too personal to be the work of a psychopath. Okay, fair enough. His analysis made it seem like Dr. Akashak, who had a thing for Maria Raddick, or Beryl Johnson, who had an affair with Maria Raddick's ex-husband, were the most likely candidates. You think it's some cliche like killing for love? Probably gotta be something like that. Dude, she was like 60. Do old people still fall in love? Of course, you idiot! Although I doubt it was a person who recently fell in love with her. I'm guessing it was someone who loved her a long time ago. That sort of brutality screams to me, if I can't have you in life, I'll have you in death. Must be someone who thinks they don't have much longer to live. That seemed a little out there. I'll let Terrence write about how love destroys people's minds for a little longer than left. Afterwards, I went to bike along the canal front. It's my favorite thing to do during the summer, or because of the way the breeze feels coming off the canal. We have plenty of trails, but biking on trails takes more effort. Fair enough. If you want to get lost in your thoughts, then the boardwalk along the canal is the place to do it. News of the murder had occupied my thoughts most of the day, but as my mind wandered while I biked, I wandered back to last night. That strange girl named Alexa. It's not every day you meet someone like that. She was a little weird, sure, but she definitely seemed she could be fun too. Just as I thought that thought crossed my mind, there she was, sitting in a gazebo with the same sad look and regal posture from yesterday. I guess she had a thing for looking across the canal sadly. I biked over, and I figured that a shared fireworks feeling established a good enough reason to at least stop and say hello. I set the kickstand from my bike and walked up to her. What's up, Alexandria? Funny seeing you here again. I thought maybe we'd be gonna bring the ice a little bit last night, but upon hearing my voice, she turned around with a panicked look, which slowly turned into a judgmental sort of frown that indicated a displeasure that interrupted her solitude. Jesus Christ. Well, okay, I guess the ice was still there. Well, not every fireworks feeling results in lasting friendship. The potential joy of our everyday encounters makes them more meaningful. Or so I rationalized, as I thought it was a good way to make a tactical retreat and leave her alone, but before I could figure out how to do that, she greeted me coldly. Hello, Nick. Well, at least you remember my name. You, like looking at the canal? She nodded. The ensuing silence between us made the tactical retreat look appealing once again. You're visiting the area, right? If so, there's a nice waterfall across the bridge. She scowled at that. That's none of your business. Yes, and you still don't know last name? Not for you to hear anyway. Yep, let's get out of here. I was being nosy, thinking that every lonely person needed to be talked to. Well, it's good seeing see you, but I better be heading out. I made to leave, but she stopped me with a sudden outburst. Wait, Nick! Did you hear about the murder last night? Yeah, of course. Well, I'm new to the area and I'll be around for a while. I heard Contrail was pretty safe, but then a murder happened. It's pretty crazy, right? It is crazy. Something like this hasn't happened in a long, long time. Isn't your uncle the detective working on the case? Didn't she just say she was new to the area? Suspicious. And how do you know that? She smiled at them. I got my connections. I have a feeling she is a thorn. Anyway. That's not much of an answer. Everyone has heard of the Foxes and the cool detective guy who shows up occasionally. So the people you're staying with told you. Something like that. I doubted my family was as well known as she claimed it. We were, but I saw no reason to hide the fact. Yes, my uncle's a detective on the case. And no, I can't give you any details. Well, what does this have to do with anything? We stood up and made an extremely exaggerated gesture with her arms that I couldn't interpret. I think she was trying to make herself look impressive. Well, not to brag or anything, but I'm somewhat of a detective aficionado. Basically the Shannon Loner girl version of Sherlock Holmes. But Sherlock Holmes is kind of a Shannon Loner version. Okay. That sort of sentence did not match the Alexandria I had in my mind. Are you telling me that you're going to catch the murderer? She would her hand. Oh, no, absolutely not. That sounds dangerous. It's like something I wouldn't do. No, but I'm going to offer you a deal, though. She pointed her finger at me. I take it you're well acquainted with this town? Very. And she pointed the finger. Then we'll have a pitiful old me, a girl with no friends, all alone in a strange new land. She was becoming quite the actress. Never would have guessed that of her. But this lonely girl harbored deep within herself a keen intellect honed through years of solitude. Surely her powers of deduction could be used to help solve the local tragedy that has recently struck this town. Then she pointed towards the heavens, which were blocked by a sort of gazebo. I attempted my most exasperated side. You did mention you like mystery novels. Really need help? Maybe a little. Oh, so you want to play Sherlock? Well, I'm sorry, but I doubt they'll let a weird girl without a last name with no state residency help with the investigation. She laughed, which was the first time I heard her do that. No, probably not. I wouldn't blame them, but I got a deal for you. If you show me around town, I'll give you my thoughts on the murders. If you think they're helpful, you can lie them to Mr. Rage. Why do they keep calling him that? Carl just seems tired. I think it's the town's best interest that the culprit is apprehended as soon as possible. I couldn't believe this girl. She really came up with this convoluted setup to ask me to show her around. What was her game? Was this a ploy to try to make a friend, or was there something she told me to get from me? So, is this an excuse to try to make friends? No, it's a mutually beneficial offer. You know, it would have been fun to be like, oh, I'm new around here. Could you show me around? I really appreciate it, or something like that. That's absurd. Who's asked a stranger something like that? I'm not a stranger. We met yesterday. Of course. And to repay the kind hospitality you showed yesterday, and which I've requested you show me in the future, I have offered you the extent of my intellectual capabilities. You know what? That's a great deal. I shook my head. I was still suspicious, but what ulterior motive could she really have? There was really nothing she could gain from hanging out with me besides becoming friends with me. I decided I would take her up on her offer. Sure thing, Alexandria. You got yourself a deal. I'll show you around the town and you'll solve the mysterious murder of Al. She nodded like that was the obvious conclusion. And to come to, smiled and struck at her hand. We have a deal then. We sure do. I shook her hand. Okay, so let's hear it, great detective Alexandria. What do you make of the murder? She shook her head at me. That's rushing things. I need time to synthesize the information. Why did I say it like that? Don't worry, I know you said you can't tell me anything, but I have plenty of work from what was reported in the news. So you're saying you want to explore town first? Yep. Isn't the phrase ladies first? Yeah, and so we should listen to me first. And I say I should learn about... Yeah, I can't argue with that. So I walked over to my bike, kicked up the stand, and started making my way to downtown, which is pretty close to the canal front. She followed a couple steps behind me. I think downtown would be a great place to start, given how close it is, and it's kind of historical if you're into that kind of thing. Is there anything a sheltered sort of princess like you is dying to experience? Princess? I turned around, she had a big smile on her face and was a little red. I rolled my eyes. It wasn't meant to be a compliment. What? For someone who was quick to bark responses, she didn't seem all that acquainted with sarcasm. Well, the way you hold yourself is very regal. Most people don't care about their posture. Plus, no offense, you can be a little strange, like learning how to talk to people with no prior experience. Top it up with more mysterious qualities, like not telling me your last name and stuff. That's a good point. Well, you're onto something. I'll settle for being a princess. I had no idea what I was onto. She bounded a couple paces from me. A marked change in demeanor compared to our previous interactions. Let's make this clear. There are some topics that are off limits. My last name is one of them, where I'm from, and where I'm staying is another. Personal inquiries about my state of mind are also not allowed. Lastly, you cannot ask me about my family. She sure was demanding, but I was getting used to it at this point. Okay, that's fair. I won't ask about those things then. What year of school are you in? She seemed amused by that. I was homeschooled. That explained a lot! And I'm 18. I guess I graduated by high school by now. She's a year older than Nick. The way she worded it was a little strange, like being homeschooled meant you didn't get to graduate. Oh, never would have guessed you're older than me. I'm older? I'm 17. Huh. Then as you're elder, you better start treating me with some respect. With age comes wisdom, after all. She put a lot of faith at that 1 year she had on me. I realized we got derailed from my original question. I got a feeling that was gonna happen. So, back on topic. Anywhere here besides downtown you were craving to see? She thought about it for a minute. How about Walmart? Seriously? You've never been to Walmart? She shook her head. Maybe she was a princess. Or maybe an extremely religious type who avoided industrial society. It's some of those types around here. Oh, we can't go to Walmart then. It's across town, so maybe we can do it another time. There's a lot of smaller shops downtown that have way higher quality stuff. When we got to the downtown area, I sort of explained a little history of the town I knew. She brushed me off. She already knew it all and way better than I did. That wanted me out a little. Oh, poor Nick. But I love the story behind the summer festival. That was when I was there last night. What do you love about it? I like how hopeful the story is. Okay. Yeah, Alistair's love transcended the grave. Figures you'd be such a romantic. I ignored that I like that part of the story too. It's not manly. Of course I am. Everyone who loves stories has to be a little bit of romantic. You read a lot then? I sure do. Lots and lots of books. We went to a coffee shop. According to Alexandria, this was her first time in a coffee shop. I was beginning to worry more and more that she belonged to a repressively religious family, or she's Amish. Was it okay to be doing this? If her parents found out, maybe they were going to execute us for her heretical pre-mental behavior, like going to coffee shops without parental supervision. Jesus Christ. Back. Alexandria was petrified when it came to ordering the coffee. She cowered behind me and tried to telepathically communicate what she wanted, and then gave me lots of grief when I got her order wrong. You could have just told me you wanted the hazelnut flavor. She looked sadly into her cup of plain black coffee, reminding me of Uncle Kyle. But then I would have to talk, and talking is hard. Hopefully it will get easier for her over time. I drank my strange raspberry flavored coffee, which was kind of gross, and he drank her plain black coffee, which she said was pretty good, when we headed to an antique shop next. Which was a trip that lasted about 1 minute. She walked in, looked at one of the toy boats, and promptly walked out. I chased her. Hey, wait up! There weren't any people in there! Did you see the price on that boat? How could they charge such exorbitant rates? Okay, so she's not rich. No, I didn't see the price because you walked out immediately. How much was it? $19.95 for that pitiful little boat? What's the economy come to? Okay, you know what? Fair enough. I was a bit high for a toy boat. It's an antique shop meant to tourists. They try to get people to spend lots of money. Well, I'm rich, but I'm not buying anything out from that shop out of principle. Oh. I was right! She is rich! I was right earlier! I knew it! You're rich? Figure of speech. Was it? Do you know anything about the economy? Not really, no. We headed off to our next destination, which was the library. I figured, since she liked reading, she'd have a good time here, but she told me that her home had a massive library. Maybe she really was rich. I love being around books anyway, even if I read most of them. There's no way you've read most of them. She raised an eyebrow at me. Don't challenge friendless people, not the games that can demonstrate their amount of free time. I walked up to the hardest looking book, which I mentally decided by looking for the biggest one that looked old. Okay, tell me the plot of this one. He proceeded to tell me the plot of every book I picked. So now I'm spoiled on War and Peace, Crime and Punishment, Moby Dick, Great Expectations, and Carinella, Ulysses, and Don Quixote, unless she made up plots for each of them, which would have been even more impressive. I was gonna have to keep up my guard around her. She was clearly much, much smarter than I was. So, what books do you read, Nick? I don't read books, and I figured I couldn't bluff my way out of this one, so I headed to the comic book section. I grabbed a couple of issues I was interested in, and when I returned to face Alexandria, she gave me the most pitying look I've ever seen, like she was looking at a cat that was so dumb it was eating his own tail. I wilted on the spot and returned the comic books to their original locations. Poor Nick. Okay, then what do you suggest? Her face brightened, and then she briskly headed towards other shelves to return with Pride of Prejudice, Dune, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and a baseball reference book. I picked some relatively easy reading, but here's some good books even someone like you would probably appreciate. I picked one romance, a sci-fi fantasy book, and a mystery to diversify the reading. I'd also include some sport nerd stuff because I figured you'd be into that sort of thing. I was a little touched by the thought. Unfortunately, I now have to read these. But who knows, maybe I actually like them. I wasn't going to tell her that I had already read the baseball reference book. I checked out my books and we headed. It was getting late, and let's face it, she definitely wasn't ready for Walmart. We headed back to the gazebo where we met up. I'm sorry that took so long, but I had a good time. Glad I could help out. I feel bad I didn't offer any of my promise-keeping insight about the murders. But if you meet me here tomorrow at the same time we met today, I promise to keep up my end of the bargain. No sightseeing, only detective work. Sure, whatever you say. He gave me another smile, which was becoming more and more of a frequent occurrence, and headed off. I headed home thinking that Mom would be thrilled if she knew what I was up to this afternoon. Of course she would. Oh, June 8th, 1987. Oh, we're going back to Nick again. I was on my way to meet up with Alexandria. Earlier, I decided to make use of my time for the meeting to learn what I can about the investigation. Uncle Kyle had been sleeping on the couch, and my parents were out of the house. I'm a good kid for the most part, but I'm not above a little rule breaking. I casually walked into the room Uncle Kyle was staying in and rummaged around his briefcase to find some details on the suspects. I didn't understand most of the documents, but he was able to find out. Thorns were obviously the most suspicious. It looked like they were being treated as the most likely candidate to have Maria Radek killed. The owner of the bar of a place called the Lassie Jack, Lila Loving Smith, was also under suspicion. She had a public fight with Marina about the tourism proposal. Miss Loving Smith was a nice middle-aged lady, but was also incredibly prideful and didn't back down from confrontation. She had been against the proposal, and Marina had been for it. They had a pretty big spat about that. The next suspect was Beryl Johnson, not related to the Johnsons who ran the festival ice cream stall. She was an older woman deeply involved with local politics. She's the head of the faction against the tourism proposal. However, the reason she was a suspect because her ex-husband had an affair with Marina Radek many years ago. Her ex-husband left town short after. The last suspect was Vladimir Kashik, a retired professor in the 70s. I didn't know much about the dude, but the profile cited he and Marina both came here from Serbia. Okay. Apparently, Dr. Kashnik had a massive crush on her when they were in Serbia, and when they were reunited here, he took it as a sign of destiny. Marina didn't recruit for his feelings. It looked like he was a weird dude. Uncle Kyle had a note mentioned that he kept going on about her ghost and how it kept haunting him. I'm guessing the ghost referred to Marina Radek. These were the suspects, and here's how Uncle Kyle ranked them in terms of suspicion. 1. The Thorns. 2. Beryl Johnson. 3. Dr. Kashak. 4. Delilah Loving-Smith. That made sense to me. Delilah Loving-Smith didn't have much of a motive. Dr. Kashak and Beryl Johnson had potential motives, but were both quite old, and it was unlikely they would commit murder in a gruesome fashion, as the murder ended up giving the physicality required. I mean, remember Golden Girl? The Golden Girl killer? Golden Girl of murder? She was a lady that, would kill her tenants, but the only reason why anybody found out was, because she killed herself, was that they found the bodies buried under her house. I think it was her house or her garden. That left the Thorns, who had a motive, giving Marina Radek previously worked for them and had the resources to have someone killed. The last thing I've known I could find was Aisha Radek, Marina's daughter, was under police protection right now, in case the family was being targeted. That would set Walbert at ease. That was what I was able to find. I apologize to Uncle Kyle in my head, but I wanted to see if Gam? Okay. Hold on. I want to see if Alexandria was legit. I got the feeling she was bluffing about being a Sherlock Huckton and was just a weird girl visiting town, but she was on the right track for deductions I wanted to know. I left the house a little after 2:30 and showed up right at 3. Alexandria was already there, looking very pompous. I pulled my bike up to her. Hey there, sorry if I kept you waiting. She looked at me a little standoffishly, as if I kept her waiting. Hello. How you been? Though I guess it's only been a day. I've been well, I've been thinking. How have you been? I'm well, though I haven't been thinking. As expected. I'm guessing you haven't read any of the books you borrowed yesterday. No. I admitted in that knowing she threw any lies I could tell. She took her head an exaggerated motion, gave me a very displeased look. Figures. Jesus Christ, girl. I think you have some issues. But then again, I understand. Men ain't shit. Only fictional men. Anyway, figures you can't trust men. They make such sweet promises only to break your heart. No, it's better to console yourself with the timeless characters of books. Much less heartbreak that way. That seemed a little dramatic. Plus, there seemed to be a lot of heartbreak in the plots of those books she told me about yesterday. Since when did I promise I would read the books? It was implicit. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I promise that next time we meet, I'll have read all of Pride and Prejudice. And if you don't, I'll jump off that bridge when we get there. She turned to look at the bridge behind her. As a figure of speech and speaking of promises, it's time to make good on yours, Sherlock. Are you ready to solve the mysterious murders of Alcantia? Yes. I put a lot of thought into the case and I'm ready. Okay. So, who do I think is the killer so far? The most suspicious is probably... I'm gonna say this. It's probably the ex-lover. I don't underestimate old people, okay? Don't underestimate anybody. She made an exaggerated knuckle-cracking gesture to make herself look important. Let's get down to business. I'm an expert on murder. I was hoping that was from her murder mysteries. Let's start with Maria Raddick. We know she was an older lady. We also know that her murder was particularly gruesome, involving separation of the limbs and body, aka dismemberment. Seemed likely that her mere death was not the only goal given to save the body. Okay, we already kind of know this. The police report that the house was broken into. That means the murderer was likely someone she knew and was willing to let in her house. Right? Given this, we can likely conclude that the murderer had a particularly deep-seated grudge. I figured I could play along with her. I told Alexandria about what Terence had told me earlier and how he thought the best explanation was something like a love affair. That's reasonable. I agree that it's implausible that Maria Raddick's murderer killed her out of pure psychopathy. Psychopaths are quite logical. Oh yeah, not logical enough to, not get themselves caught. Sorry. Well, the killer waited until there was a low chance someone in the area could be a potential witness that I'm entering the house. It seems rather bold to murder Miss Raddick in her own house when she had a commitment later that evening. Why not wait for a better opportunity after the festival? The killer got lucky. Nobody saw them enter Miss Raddick's home. Given this, I suspect the murderer is actually an impulsive decision. Okay. They came to meet with her and didn't like what resulted from that meeting, ending in a brutal murder. But why? Yeah, the thing is, why? Okay, but the thing is, why would they go through that whole dismemberment thing? That's the thing. Why would they go through an entire dismemberment thing? Arc. To dispose of her body? But if they were disposing of her body, why would the murderer leave it out? Sorry, I'm invested. This is really friggin' interesting. That was something I hadn't considered. Gotta save. It was impressive that she could move so far, but she could do much more with what was known publicly. However, her next words caught me by surprise. Now let's move on to suspects. Wait, you know the suspects? I don't know the suspects. I figured out some potential suspects. What good would a detective be if they couldn't come up with suspects? I mean, that's true, but does she really go investigating on her own? From what I can tell, there are only 4 real candidates for the murder. Elgert Thorne, Vlade Thorne, Earl Johnson, and Professor Krashik. How do you know that? She gave me a mischievous smile. So you do know some details of the investigation. As expected from the arrival of the detective. Yeah, I do. I overheard some stuff. How do you know that? You said this is your first time in Alcantia, right? Yes, but I don't know what that has to do with anything. You couldn't even order a cup of coffee yesterday! Even if you are a great detective, there's no way you have the social skills to pull off an investigation in a town you're unfamiliar with. She raised an eyebrow at me. It's kind of mean, don't you think? Anyway, you don't need social skills to get information. Okay, how did you get your information then? Careful requesting and careful listening. That's not much of an answer. It wasn't much of a question. Are you gonna let me continue? I was suspicious now. Fair enough. I'd be suspicious too. What are you hiding, girl? Anyway. There was more to her than she had let on. Was her behavior yesterday an act? And what was the purpose of that deal we made? There is also one more suspect. Oh, you mean Delilah Loving Smith? Yeah. I don't consider her a real suspect. A public fight in your restaurant isn't much of a motive for murder, let alone the type of murder this was. How did you find out about the fight? My sources, and they wish to remain anonymous. I scoffed. Of course they did. Additionally, I think you can rule out Dr. Krashnik. He's too old and frail. You're underestimating! You are underestimating the might and power of frail old people. But then again, this game was set in the 19 something. Damn, that's a lot of reading. It's been... How long has it been, actually? I need to check. Oh, it's been an hour. Surprisingly. It's almost been 2 hours. It looks like she didn't know about the ghost Dr. Krashnik mentioned, so she wasn't up. Shit. Daryl Johnson is more spry, but I doubt she did it as well. She's a simple character who wears her heart on her sleeve. She's in charge of the anti-tourism local fraction, really cares about it. She wouldn't do something to risk her image right now. Okay, fair enough. That just leaves Edgar and Vlade Thorne, who were the most obvious candidates from the start. Wouldn't the Thorns care about their image as well? The Thorns care about their image, but unlike Beryl Johnson, they have the capacity to hide their involvement. But what if it's a red herring, though? That's what I'm wondering. Could be a red herring from the game to basically he gives you a haha, it wasn't actually these people. The Thorns are the only ones who really knew too much. With Marina being alive, she had that info that could compromise the Thorn legacy gained from when she worked there. Why would they take such a dramatic route for killing her that she worked with them? There's a good chance she had personal ties to them. She gave her a triumphant smile. This conclude quite a lot. The murderer is someone from the Thorn family who had a personal grudge for Marina Radek related to information the Thorn family wants to keep secret. They went to visit her to find out what she knew. When they found out, they killed her. This isn't a murder mystery. This is an issue of whether a powerful family is powerful enough to keep their criminal activity under wraps. Face dark. Likely impulsive. That bothers me, though. If it was the Thorn family, you'd think they wouldn't have done this during the daytime. It seems so risky. Murder being impromptu based on what they found out from Maria is still a scenario, but to kill her right then and there, that suggests someone from that family is pretty unhinged. She looked at me. I also suspect their killer isn't done yet. I hadn't even considered the possibility that there would be more murders. It was so bizarre for us to have any murderers running around, let alone a serial killer. Fair enough. That was a scary thought. Alkentia had been my home for all my life. I couldn't imagine if it being somewhere dangerous to live. Why do you think they aren't done yet? It's just a feeling, but given the likelihood that the killers and Ashurated is thinking of it clearly, I'm worried that they're aiming to settle all personal grudges related to whatever caused them to kill Marina. The Thorn family normally works with a clear modus operandi. So they wouldn't resort to something drastic like this. Okay. I really hope you're wrong. So do I. So between Edgar, Vade, or both, who do you think it is? I guess it'd have to be Edgar, since Vade was born around the time when Marina left, but he's kind of old. Do you don't think he could pull it off? Yes! I do. Because in the future, there is a serial killer. There are lots of them, actually. But this particular one targeted her tenants for money. So yes, I do believe that old people can kill. Especially frail old ones. For precisely that reason, I don't think it's Elgar Dorn. Well, there's lots of people at Dorn Mansion. It doesn't necessarily have to be Edgar or Vade. Oh, I know it's Vade Thorn. You do? How do you know that? He was just born when she left. That made kind of weird for him to have a personal grudge against her. Yeah, exactly. She just shrugged. Gut feeling. I rolled my eyes, but... aside that last statement, I was pretty impressed with her detective work. Pretty impressed, but pretty suspicious as well. It was much more than to her, and she let up. Well, you really lived up to your end of the bargain, but surely you have more than just a gut feeling to suspect Blade. Alexandra's face darkened again, looking down my venomous. No, just a gut feeling. If there's an impulsive murder among the Thorns, it's definitely Blade. That's not very deductive. To my surprise, she smiled. Well, I can't be perfect on everything. She let out a big breath. Whew, that might be the longest I've talked in my life. Thorn family member, probably Vade, but is very erratic to find out what info she had on the Thorns from her time working for them and killed her out of a personal grudge once they found out. She gave a silly little curtsy and I gave her some applause. She looked very pleased with herself. I decided to play along some more. If you're Sherlock, I guess that makes me Watson. I slipped my foot, shoulders, and feet. Watson is supposed to be dumb, isn't he? Alexandria laughed. She leaned in a little bit towards me and said mischievously, "Don't worry, you make a wonderful Watson." I can't tell if that was an attempt to flirt or she was just calling me dumb. I suppose the two weren't mutually exclusive. So, can I relay your deduction to detective rage, or this is supposed to stay between us? Sure, go ahead. I hope it helps it with the investigation. Not really you learned all this from this charming, mysterious detective girl you met. But if it's tries to act on anything, then he didn't learn it from me. You're really okay with me telling him about you? You seem like the type to keep yourself a secret. She gave me that mischievous look again. I know, it must be tempting to keep me all to yourself, but I can't hide from people forever. Also, I was hoping this would be the end of our deal if we still met up with each other, you know? I'd have to eventually meet other people, you know, so... Okay. She trailed off, looking a little awkward. I stepped in to help her out. Of course, I always assumed this was a one-time deal. I still have to take you to Florida, girl. You mean it? Sure do. Do you have lots of friends? Well, sort of. I have lots of friends, but it's summer break, so people are off doing different things. I have two very close friends I hang out during the summer all the time. I took a look at her. She's trying to hide a smile now. You really are lonely, huh? Sure am. I thought it was kind of a pathetic thing to admit, but she seemed happy. Enough now. We made plans to meet up, in which I promised to take her to Walmart. We agreed that she was contributing to the mystery when she could between our town excursions. Before she headed out, I asked her a question. Hey, Alexandria. Be honest with me. Am I your first friend? We're friends? Unless you don't want to be. No, I'd like to be friends. You just caught me off guard. You know, non-princess types use that word very casually. And yes, she gave me one last smile for the day. You are. Aww. She left with that. I didn't head home immediately. I stayed at the gazebo looking at the canal a little longer. I had things to wonder about. The murders were mysterious, but they aren't the only mysterious things. Alexandria, you're mysterious too. Are you just a shy girl trying to make friends, or there's something more to you? There were several things that didn't really add up. Obviously, there was the fact she wouldn't tell me about her personal situation. But what made me the most suspicious was that someone who supposedly new to the area and didn't have any connections knew so much about the suspects in this case. Which, fair point. What is she hiding? It seemed that she knew even more than I did, and I lived here my entire life, plus had access to investigation files. So how did she learn what she knew? There's also her strange certainty about some of her deductions. There's the insistence that Miss Raddick's murderer killed her impulsively. It was possible, but I don't really know how you could really determine that. Additionally, why was she so certain the murderer was Wade? It seemed that if one of the Thorns did it, would most likely be Edgar, given he's much closer to Marina's age and much more likely to have personal ties to her. It seemed to me he and Alexandria had concluded that Wade was the murderer and based her deductions around that. To her credit, her story fit reality pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised if she was right. There was something a little creepy about that. She posted Zeal to me. I thought it was just to make friends. I wanted that to be true, but I had my doubts now. What if there's something she was hoping to achieve from this? But I couldn't think of anything she gained from this deal if that was the case. Not a big sigh. You really are a mystery, Alexandria. June 6, 1997. Oh, we're going back in time. Oh, it's Victor. We're going back to Victor again. Yeah! Jeez, how long is this game? I filled out some forms at the front desk while Detective Storm talked to my doctor a little ways from the side. Even despite the strange circumstances, it struck me that it was odd that the hospital was lax enough to let someone with an extreme case as mine go to be a psychic or a detective. Even so, I filled out the forms with my newly decided name of Victor. The hospital promised to contact Detective Storm. Anyone who knew anything about me showed up. That was all I could hope for while I waited for my memories to return. Detective Storm and the doctor finished our chat, and Detective Storm walked towards me. I guess she was akin to my guard now? Caretaker if we wanted to be more charitable. I was grateful that she was taking me away from the hospital, but I didn't trust her. I didn't trust her belief that I would be helpful in this investigation. After all, I was an amnesiac after all. How could I contribute? I suspected that Dr. Sturge knew more about me than she let on. I also suspected that's why the hospital let me go so easily. Yeah, fair enough. Detective Storm cut off to me. Sorry about the wait. Doctor was ranting about how careful I should be with you, yada yada yada, and junk like that. I was gonna break you or something. You look like you could break me, actually, ma'am. Are you planning on breaking me? Of course not! I'm counting on you to help me solve this case. In fact, that's where we're going now, to the site of the first murder. Doc says I can't let you see the actual murder, thinks it could be bad for your psychological health, but there was something outside the house where the murder committed that I want you to see. I haven't been conscious for 2 hours yet, and yet I was being brought to the site of a murder. My suspicions about this whole situation grew deeper. Still, I was curious about what Detective Storm wanted me to see. Okay. We walked to her car and she drove off towards the crime scene. Without even asking me, she rolled down both windows and started smoking. I figured I could probe her a little more to learn about my situation. So City always had a detective? Nah, I'm the first station one. They changed it because of past crimes about a decade ago. I should thank you for giving me release and letting me stay with you. Fully hospitable of you to let potential suspects stay with you. Valid. I didn't mention the amazing part. She gave me a wicked sneer indicating she knew I was getting it. I like your tone of voice, kid. You don't trust anyone. I can respect that in my high profession. Kid? She could not much been older than me if her description of me was true. I took her to be in her early 30s. Got high hopes for you. It's not often we get murders in Altria, and this case is pretty unique. I don't think it'd be possible to solve without you. I knew it. She knew more about me than she was letting on. But what did she know? Do you know something about me? I know a lot of things. I got your medical charts, I know your wallet, I know you go by Victor right now. I know you need a shower, all sorts of stuff. That's not what I meant. If you meant about your past, I don't know anything. That's why I'm having you tag along. Why do you think the case can't be solved without? Just a hunch. Good to trusting your hunches when you've been in the profession as long as I've been. And I didn't mention she looked old enough to be in the profession that long, but I decided to let the subject drop. I don't believe for an instant that she knew nothing, but obviously she wouldn't tell me anything. So if I'm to be part of the investigation, can I know the details of the case? She put out her cigarette and promptly lit up a new one, having spoke out the window. That's the whole point. You might not like the sound of this, but I'm hoping you'd be the key to this whole thing. Of course, I need your memories to come back for you to be useful. I'm hoping seeing parts of the crime scene will jog some of your memories. I appreciate the honesty that she hoped I was a bad guy, but it was weird she seemed sure I would confess whatever wrongdoing I've been involved in once I got my memories back. If I was really a bad guy, I wouldn't wrap myself up. Here's the case so far. Oh, this is a different case. Wait, so we're going through two different stories at the same time. Interesting. Here's the case so far. A couple hours ago, the department gets word that a woman named Marcella Rivers has been killed. Not just killed, brutally killed. I'm talking dismemberment, limbs scattered on the house. Wait a minute, that seems a little familiar. That's what was happening with the other story with Nick. The weapon was probably a large knife, which the killer took for them from the scene. The killer made a real mess. Looks like she was killed later in the afternoon. No sign of the house being broken into, so she probably let the killer involuntarily. No witnesses? None. Any suspects so far? Besides me, of course. Can't tell you that. Wouldn't knowing potential suspects help me working my memories? Department orders. Sorry, it's like this, Victor. I'm not your guard. I'm not your babysitter either. Think of me as your guide. My guide? Yep, your guide. What does that mean? She glanced over at me. Her first time doing. That whole ride. She had a look in her eyes that I couldn't quite decipher. She wore a smile that wasn't malicious or scheming, but it had the same sort of superiority a smile of that kind might have. It was almost like she was mocking me. You'll find out soon enough. Which didn't answer my question in the slightest. I spent the rest of the car ride in silence while she hummed to herself. There was still one thing on my mind that I hadn't asked her, this Ghost of Alcantia business. I wanted to ask why the townspeople of Alcantia thought the murders were related to a ghost. I don't know if the previous me believed in those stories, but I certainly didn't. Oh, yay! We arrived at a one-day middle-class neighborhood, and Detective Storm pulled up to the house in Indian Road. Multiple police cars were already present at the scene. In front of the house, despite the area being taped off, a large crowd had already gathered. Just like I thought, the hospital was greatly irresponsible. Well, for releasing me, I got the same with the police here. Just hours after the murder, and the residents of the neighborhood were crowding around the scene like it was some sort of spectacle. Did they really let passerby watch the investigation? The crowd was nearly all older people. The youngest couldn't have been any younger than 60. Disturbed me to think that the elderly of Alcantia found murder to be so interesting. I stepped out of the car, unsure what to do, while Detective Storm talked to some of the officers, then returned to me. Victor, the scene I want you to see is what the crowd is looking at. I'll be going inside to take a look inside the house. You're not allowed to see the actual body. The doctor doesn't want to risk traumatizing you. He didn't want you to see inside the house either, but I insisted. She leaned in closer and spoke in a whisper. I think that you're part of the murder. Now, I'm not going to say what I think of it yet, but your doctor thinks your amnesia is self-induced, that you're desperately trying to forget something. If he had his way, you'd stay in your nice little bubble of delusions. But I'm banking on this. Whatever you want to forget might be what I want to know. Great! Is this gonna be like a potato kind of thing? Oh, right. I'm guessing nobody played Cooking Companions. God, the lore in that game is insane. She smiled, pretending she wasn't threatening me. Do you remember what the message in your wallet said? How can I forget? Her blood was on her hands. Something about that message felt right. Though I didn't know whose blood was on my hands or why they were in my hands. I remember the victim was a Marcella Rivers. Neither Marcella nor Rivers sparked a return in my memory. But the name itself, something about it seemed kind of familiar. Though I couldn't put my fingers on why. Because of course I did. Good. Now look along with the message on the lawn and you might realize why I want you to tag along for my investigation so badly. So the crowd was looking at some messages. She gave me a little wave. I'm going to explore the more exciting parts for clues. We'll talk later tonight once you've had time to digest things. Aren't you worried I'll run off? She gestured at all the cops. And where would you go? Not the brightest, are you? Jesus Christ. Why are you all suspecting me? That whole thing, while he thought he was dying, okay, that's an indication that either some sort of abuse happened. So, yeah. With a laugh to herself, she crossed over the tape and headed inside to the house where the body, or parts of the body, I should say, would be located. I made my way through the crowd to see what had been written on the lawn. People made way like I was diseased. Looks of disgust and suspicion placed on their faces. Did I really look that bad? Perhaps I looked suspicious getting out of the car with the detective. I did my best to ignore the looks and read what was written on the lawn. It would have been hard to miss. 2 sentences that looked like they were written in blood said this. Remember what you've done. This is your fault. Okay, that is actually pretty impressive. If I would say. Yeah, I could see why Detective Storm took such an interest in me. Her blood is on your hands. The timing was just too convenient with these messages, even if my accident had occurred before the murder. However, who could have predicted I would get amnesia? This is your fault, and her blood is on her hands with one thing. Remember what you've done. If the message was implied for me, implying that whoever wrote that knew I would get amnesia. Okay. This is interesting so far. I am invested, man. I have work tomorrow, but I'm invested. But I only learned that several hours ago. Amnesia isn't something you can just predict. I could see why Detective Storm would be intrigued by the possibility of the messages being connected to me, but how was I connected? Close my eyes and try to remember. Something was from Marcella Rivers. Something was familiar there, but nothing striking jumped to me. Remember what you've done. This is your fault. Her blood is on her hands. We're all too vague to bring back any memories for me. I was still as empty inside as I'd been when I woke up. Seeing the scene hadn't awoken my memories, but it deepened a feeling within me. If I was to learn who I was, I would be greatly unhappy for doing so. I opened my eyes and around and head back into the car. The messages had rattled me a little, but nothing too major. Like when I read the note, it just felt right. Uncomfortable, but correct. Lost in thought, I was startled when I saw the other members of the crowd. I hadn't realized it yet, but they were staring at me. Pairs of judgmental eyes looking at me, as if they knew who I was and what I did, even if I didn't. They're staring at me. Staring at me. Me? Stop. Stop staring at me! Looked over at the cops, who continued to chat amongst themselves. I turned back towards the crowd, who continued to stare directly at me. I couldn't ignore this. I walked up to a lady in front of me. Excuse me, ma'am, is something wrong? She glared at me, a wrathful fire in her eyes. May the ghost of Alcantia curse you. The ghost of Alcantia. I had been warned that the townspeople thought the murder had been for a ghost, but what did that have to do with me? Don't these people know something I did? Was I a known criminal? Why wouldn't Detective Storm tell me anything now? Why wouldn't she just arrest me on the spot, memory loss or not? Okay. Dude has amnesia. Give him a break, crowd. The older lady marched off. My stomach was starting to turn itself into knots. I turned to an older gentleman who was behind her. The rest of the crowd continued staring at me. Excuse me, sir, do you know something about me? What's this about the ghost of Alcantia? He gave me the same glare the older lady had given me earlier. Okay, this is getting weird. This has been weird. But, like, come on. I wanna know what happened. I looked at the rest of the crowd. They all have the same look. One of loathing, disgust. It wasn't a mere dislike. This is pure hatred. Deeply unsettled, I turned back to the older gentleman. I have nothing to say to killers. Killers? I'm a killer? Me? He waved off to the rest of the crowd, and they all made their way to their homes. I stood there stunned. They thought I was a killer. Who was this ghost? Why do these people know what I've done and I don't? I should be the expert on myself, and I'm not. Detective Storm must have known something about me. Townspeople did as well. Why won't anyone tell me that? Why does everyone but me know who I am? Sick to my stomach, I ran back into the car to hide in safety in case there were more prying eyes who might look into me. I wanted to protect a little of me that wasn't known. I hid in the car waiting for Detective Storm to finish her investigation. I constantly checked the mirrors to see if any passerbys were looking for or at me. As far as I could tell, the judgment from the locals is over, but at least temporarily, but I still remain cowardly on guard. Fair enough. I feel bad for this guy. Even if he's done something, at least, like, realize that he just got out of the hospital. I realized the irony of hiding a detective's vehicle, given the likelihood of me being involved in a crime. Maybe it would have been better if Detective Storm hadn't arrested me when I regained consciousness. Prison didn't sound too bad right now. They waited for about 20 minutes before Detective Storm came back and found me, manic and scared, cowering the shotgun seat. I unloaded on her immediately after she opened the driver's side door. What's going on? Who am I? What have I done? I knew it wasn't fair to vent to her like this, but I was desperate. Desperate that someone would tell me something, anything about me. She just smirked back at me. Well, I'd love to know all these things myself. Oh, come on! Throw the guy a bone! Jesus Christ. All these people are sadists. She sat down behind the wheel and pulled out a cigarette, seemingly amused by the distress. Something happened then? Holding back fury at her nonchalance, I explained how the crowd had treated me. I barely said anything about the message that was spray painted on the lawn. Vagueness of the messages on the ground paled in comparison to the effects of the direct attack I had received afterwards. After finishing my tirade, I realized I was being unfair to Detective Storm. She had enough on her plate. She didn't need to be my emotional babysitter too. Sorry, I'm scared. To my surprise, she smiled at me, with the condescending smirk she had always shown me, but a genuine one. Of course you were scared. Heck, why wouldn't I be? Who wouldn't be? Now, I ain't a doctor, but I imagine being amnesiac like yourself can't be easy. I know I'm asking a lot of you to help in this case, but I want you to know that I'm here to help you out. Embarrassed, she went back to puffing her cigarette. Can't have her chief of hope hope of solving this case falling apart now, can we? Thanks for taking the storm. Sorry for your later. No worries. But please tell me what you know. Why would those people have thought I'm a murderer? Do you know something about me that I don't? Listen, Victor, there's no one who will know much about you as much as you do. It's my job to get you back on that point by looking after you. Okay, what about the crowd then? Why do they think I'm a murderer? Don't worry about it so much. Terra is a small town that likes ghost stories. People here are suspicious. They probably saw you in my car and made assumptions about you being the suspect. Okay, fair enough. She threw her cigarette out the window and picked up another one, which isn't exactly off base. You are a suspect of some kind. People really jumped to the conclusion just because I was in your car. If I was a murderer, you wouldn't be letting me run off freely like you just did. Like I said, the people here are suspicious type who gossip. Probably decided to link the murder to the outsider. People don't trust outsiders here. These think I'm a murderer just because I'm an outsider. That seems beyond paranoid. Can I say the people here believe in ghosts? You can't expect much from them. What's with the ghosts of Alcentia stuff anyway? Is Alcentia known for ghost stories? Don't ask me, I'm a detective. I'm not in the business of following supernatural leads. There's a town storyteller who can tell you about the story of the ghost of Alcentia. I'll tell you about her later tonight. First, we should head over to my place and get you some food. Hopefully that will calm you down some. That sounded like a good idea. I had judged Detective Storm too early. She had a kinder side to her too. She drove us to her home, which was located in what must have been a wealthier part of the town. I was suspicious that this place could be afforded with the salary of a detective. Jesus Christ. It was a welcome environment for me, and certainly preferable to staying in the hospital. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I got a room on the second floor you can use. Bathroom is down the hall to the left. Bathroom upstairs is right across from your room. I'll show you later. Not like you got anything unpacked anyhow. She headed to her kitchen and started rummaging through the cupboards. Cook? Why so shocked? What, a single detective can't cook? Just doesn't match the image I had of you. Now you'll find out that gals who to take care of themselves are a lot more capable than you might think. I sat on the couch while she cooked dinner. I'd offered to help, but in her own words, I'm not letting it fuck up my food, so I do my own business. Jesus Christ. She ended up making some Italian fish dish. Said it was jalapeno with fennel and salmon. Plate and everything. It tasted fantastic. Cooking a hobby of yours? It's a necessity. After we ate, she looked at me expectantly. So, what do you want to ask me? A lot of things, but I figured she wouldn't tell me what I really wanted to know. It was worth a shot, though. Did the hospital really let me go so easily? Define easily. I had to make the case that I needed you for my investigation. Releasing someone who's just woken up with amnesia seems neglectful. Not that I'm not grateful, it just seems kind of weird. Well, unique circumstances. Murders don't happen here very often. I probably wouldn't have got away with it if your case wasn't so weird and that note wasn't in your ID. And as there's nobody claiming any relation to you, they were just as glad for me to take you off our hands. I don't know if that reassured me or made me feel worse. So, who's this person you can tell me about the ghost of Alcantara? Like Detective Storm, I didn't believe in this ghost of Alcantara, but given that the townspeople here are so adamant about the recent phenomenon being related to the supernatural, I thought it would be useful to learn about. And you'd be right. I want to know more about this too. Perhaps it would even help me remember things. Her name is Elaine Witherton. She's a weird bird, but she knows her stuff. I'll give you the map to her place tomorrow. She can tell me about the town legends. She knows everything about Alcantara. Well, it's nice to get a stranger for once. Last thing, do you think there's any connection between what was printed down the line and the message from my wallet? What do you think? It's suspicious, but I think there's a pretty good chance it's a coincidence. If it was targeted at me, whoever made those messages would know I was going to forget things, and that's crazy. Can't say I agree. I think they're definitely connected. Why's that? Just a hunch. A hunch that makes me think you're the key to solving this whole thing. That hunch of hers again, just when I thought I could get her to talk to me. She had been extremely pleasant throughout the whole evening, but I had to remind myself that her kindness was conditional on my helpfulness. She had called herself a guide, but really I was the one she wanted to be a guide to the answer she wanted. In a sense, we wanted the same thing out of me. I looked out the window, noticing it was dark out. Even from the house, you could see the moon from the glow from the moon illuminating her neighborhood. Something comforting about the moonlight. It drew me in like a moth to the flame. I'm guessing you wouldn't let me go for a walk, being suspect or no. She went towards the door. Be my guest. Really? She gave me one of her mocking smirks. Oh, sure, I'm not worried. She got up from the table. You can't leave anyway. She left me to decipher what she meant. It was true. I didn't have any place to go. Still, nothing was stopping me from just running away, so what does she mean by that? This is actually pretty interesting. Whatever, I shouldn't take everything she says so seriously. I wanted to go for a walk, and I wasn't going to let her words bum me up. I knew I liked the night. The idea of the moon, the stars, and the quiet ambience spoke to me. I got up from the table and walked out. The effect was immediate. The night air wasn't just comforting, it was therapeutic. For the first time since I woke up, I relaxed. It'd been a long day. Not everyone wakes up a suspected criminal amnesiac. I let the clear light of the moon alleviate my tension. Why'd I say like that, man? Why'd I say like that? It was nostalgic. It made me envious of memories I couldn't remember. The person I was must have had some pretty special memories under the night sky. Maybe the return of those good memories would make up for the return of the bad ones worth it. As I walked, I tried to process what happened to me today. The adjective, I think, was most fitting for today was weird. Right, weird was the word. Today wasn't as scary as much as it was strange. Things were bizarre when my amnesia was probably the most explainable part of the day. There was a message in my wallet. Nothing about that makes sense. Only started beginning by leaving me that message. It didn't even make sense if I left the message for myself. There was no way I could know that I was going to forget stuff. What if Detective Storm was setting me up? Which, valid. I'd be suspicious too. Who? Why nothing about my ID was tampered with, and she made all that up when she found out I was amnesia. Wait, that didn't make sense. She was only interested in me in the case because of the message left in my wallet. Damn it, I was being paranoid. Even so, I couldn't trust her. She knows more about me than she's letting on. Then there was the strange behavior of the people around me. Could it really be chalked up to small town paranoia? It was unreasonable to conclude that they knew who I was. Surely, I would have been brought into the police if everyone knew I was a murderer. So why were they so confident in their judgment of me? Even with Detective Storm... Sorry, I've been reading. Or his explanation. I couldn't imagine any group of people to behave like that. Lastly, there was me. I had some recollections. I felt guilty and sorrowful. When I woke up, that's why I knew I must be involved in some wrongdoing of some kind. The message of today didn't surprise me. In fact, it felt right. So what can we say about me? Probably a bad guy who thinks he's deserves some sort of punishment, who is extremely untrustworthy and really likes the night. I looked up at the moon, a lone figure shining amidst nothing. The loneliness of the moon was inspiring. The stars seemed so close and shone so bright were actually millions of miles away. The earth that was so close was not unlike the moon, inhabited and full, while the moon remained just a rock. During the day, the moon was overshadowed, hidden away by the sun's radiance. Then, when it was the moon's time to shine, nobody was around to see it. Yet the moon shone anyway. And me, I was gonna be able to like being like the moon. If I was a wrongdoer, I would face that. If I was a good person, I will embrace that. Whoever's blood was on my hands, I will accept that. Whoever was trying to use me, I will rise above them. I was a victor. Currently a fake, pretending to be somebody, but eventually I would become who I was meant to be. I was going to think of things like this. Today, my journey to accept me had begun. From the strength of the moon, I found the strength to go on. Who was I? I have no idea. Who am I? Someone who had just found the resolve. Who will I be? Well, let's find out. I made my way back to Detective Storm's house. She had told me I couldn't run. She was right. I couldn't run away from myself, and I wasn't going to. I returned to the house, and Detective Storm showed me to my room. If she had noticed anything different in my demeanor, she didn't say anything. Exhausted but determined, I went to bed. Then, as to unravel all the confidence I had just found, as if to lap up my newfound resolve, the nightmare came. Oh. I was in a dark cavern. Cavern wasn't exactly right, but there weren't any other way to describe what it was in. I was surrounded by darkness, a floor of darkness, a ceiling of darkness, and seemingly no walls. A dark room that never seemed to end. However, about 15 meters ahead of me, there was a single point of illumination. I could see a staircase that led to a platform. Around the platform were this ring of torches and a crowd of people surrounding the platform. Curious, I approached the platform. As I approached, the crowd turned towards me. I took a startled step backwards. These people didn't have faces. didn't have faces. They were otherwise normal. Normal build, skin colors, hair colors, and hairstyles, but no faces. No eyes, mouth, or nose, just plain skin. Sounds like a yokai! They made a path for me like they'd been waiting for me. The only noise I could be heard were my footsteps as I made my way to the top of the platform. At the top was a table, but not an ordinary one. This table was made of pure rock slab. There were no designs and there were no seats. There was no doubt this was a sacrificial altar. Oh! Wait! The woman's lying on the platform. She had a smaller build and wore a purple nightgown. She had long, blonde wavy hair. The mattress was quite beautiful, but I couldn't tell for sure. At the cross, she had no face. I couldn't even tell if she was alive or dead. Next to her on the table lay a knife so large you might have considered it a small sword. The hilt was gold and had a single ruby embedded in the middle of it. Classic sacrificial knife. My gut turned. This really was a sacrificial platform. It was pure instinct, but I knew the image of the woman lying in the platform was off. It was off because she was unharmed. I felt nothing more certain in my life. I knew what would happen to this one. That knife would cut into her 8 times, 4 times in the arms, and 4 times in the chest. This is a memory, it was a fact. Terrified of what was going to happen, I turned around and raced down the steps, intending to flee. The faceless crowd stopped me. They moved quickly and synchronously, as if they were a singular entity, and blocked the staircase, leaving me nowhere to run to. So this is what they made noises, but I couldn't figure out what they were saying. The noises they made weren't human, just indiscernible hisses and growls. I tried to push my way through, but I was met with an increase in hostile hissing and growling. They pushed me back to step like me. They knew the image at the top of the platform was incomplete. Worse, they expected me to complete that image. I stared into the crowd, desperate for them to understand my desire to run away. Faceless but expectant, I could feel their growing impatience with me. They were goading, encouraging, they demanded violence. The woman's death must be brought about me. I knew they were right. Oh, poor Victor. The moment I saw the woman, I knew I had been responsible for her death. The reality was that this woman was dead and that her blood was on my hands. I wouldn't relent until things were made right. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, but my body was no longer listening to me. I turned around and slowly made my way up the platform. Oh God. As if I was being drawn by something supernatural, I returned to the platform and was greeted by the woman and the knife. My fingers closed around the handle of the knife. I felt the weight of the blade. I imagined it in the woman's flesh. The volume of the crowd increased behind me. They demanded blood, despite all my willpower. Despite my wishes, just run away and hide. I raised the knife with trembling arms. The woman made no effort to stop me. It was as though she was already dead. Thankfully, she had no face in which to judge me. Screaming internally, shaking externally, I brought down the knife to the first spot a couple inches from the elbow, heading downwards towards the wrist. Dive through the flesh of her arm so easily that she had I barely sliced through the skin with a screech of bone-meeting blade slapped me. Her stone dyed blood dyed the stone platform. Why was it so easy? Why didn't she try to stop me? Why? The crowd roared. They demanded more. It wasn't enough. It wasn't nearly enough. 7 more strikes to go. I knew I wasn't done yet. I was guilty and she was to be killed. I made the next 2 cuts in the middle of her arm. I imagined how she might defend herself with her arm, and I placed the cuts accordingly. It was shaking. The knife got heavier and heavier, but as it got heavier, it got easier to cut her. Oh God! I felt the beginnings of moisture forming around my eyes. I didn't want to do this, anything but this. She didn't deserve this, anything but this. But I couldn't stop. I had no other choice. It was simply how things were. Against my wishes, my trembling arm raised the knife again. The girl behind me yelled for more, raising closer and closer to a fever pitch. That girl seemed to grow more and more understandable. I could start to hear what they were saying. Kill her, more. I brought the knife down one swirl, this time below the wrist. For the first time, I heard the woman's voice joining the cacophony of torment echoing in my ears. There was no mouth from which to hear it. I have no mouth, but I'm scream. I'm sorry. But I heard her scream in my head. I knew that voice, that scream. It was a cry of pain, a plea for me to stop. The familiarity of the voice broke me, and the tears now flow freely from my eyes, landing on her. I turned back and got towards the crowd, joining her plea for this to stop. My request was not answered. The crowd roared and roared, a fever of violence raging amongst them. Kill or more. I'd just gone through the introduction. The main event remained just like before. I knew exactly where the next 4 strikes on her chest were to place. More roared their crowd. Stop, stop, pleaded the woman's voice in my head. I willed my arms to stop. I pleaded my body to listen to me, but it just wouldn't listen. Things weren't right yet. I raised my arm, the weight of the blood ready for the weight of her life. Go left to right. 4 more strikes and this image would match reality. Dear God. Ugh! More. I brought the knife down on the woman's, a spot above her left breast. Her flesh barely registering the steel. But there was so much blood. Beautiful, disgusting, little pools of surface evidence for what had been done. The knife, shining a vivid red, and tore her apart as the strength stormed through. An eruption of approval broke out from the crowd behind me. Yes, this was what was right. She was still done. It was to be a murder. More. It was scaring me now, begging that it's the end. My screams were in vain. Oh! Sorry. Oh god. Sorry, things like this kind of terrify me. God kept chanting and my body listened to those chants. I brought the knife down 2 more times, striking where her heart should be. The knife glistened, the blood blossomed. I watched the river of blood flow from the woman to the stone table. I did not know which of the 4 strikes or just together. It didn't matter. The end result was a death that haunted me and would continue to do so. Her scream still rang through my ears, and I knew she couldn't possibly scream. My search saw me uncontrollably. A tear falling into her chest, bleeding with the blood pooling in her chest. The crowd continued to roar. Just one more. I didn't know that made me feel the guilt I had when I woke up from the hands. Whatever it was, it couldn't compare to this pain, this torture. My arm moved against my left the last time. I looked at where the woman's face should have been. I imagined her pleading for her life, begging me to stop, reaching her hands out to touch my cheek. This isn't what we promised. I responded by begging for forgiveness. The crowd screamed, demanding her death. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I blushed confidence. I brought the knife down one last time and ripped the leg. The crowd erupted, and the woman's voice was raised. I no longer had the strength to pull the knife out of her body. I left it in her chest. The weight of what I had done made it impossible for me to remove the arbiter of my wrongdoing. I was over. I was right. I was a murderer. She was dead. Her body lay on the platform. My spirit broke and hadn't killed her. I looked towards the crowd and they were applauding. I sobbed violently and they just clapping. Even if this song how it's supposed to be, I couldn't take it. I would break. No one could live a life knowing that I'd done this. Imagine what that life would be like if I wouldn't have lived life. I began to hear her again. Unable to deal with the prospect of having her voice in my head for an eternity, I torched through the thunderous applause when the crowd had given me one more chance to scream for blood. I raised the knife and plunged it into my own throat. Oh, God. I woke up with a shout, covered in sweat. I threw off the covers, ran to the bathroom across my room, violently threw up. Detective Storm found me the next morning, crazy and totally crying. Oh, God. June 9th. Oh. Wait, so that was in the 19th. So this was like. So Victor's story was a couple years, like 10 years after this. His first murder. Okay, I think I kind of get it. June 9th, 1987. I had trouble sleeping last night. I was thinking of Alexandria and what she was hiding from me. Was she just weird, or was I being used? This wasn't the sort of girl trouble I was used to. She told me I could let Uncle Kyle in on the details of her investigation thoughts, and I plan to do so. I'm an idiot and self-reflective to the point of making poor decisions if I left to my own devices. Relatives can be nosy and overprotective, but I can count on mine. I came down, and the rest of my family was already here. Mom was cheerfully adding many fruits as if possible into her cereal. Dad was trying this new healthy oatmeal his doctor had advised, and so Uncle Kyle was still looking like his entire world. Coffee supply wouldn't be sufficient to get him through the day. It was grumbling something to my father, who was pretending to listen when we gagged down his oatmeal. I joined them at the table. Do you even like your job? Uncle Kyle thought about it seriously. No, not really. Why don't you quit then? Uncle Kyle looked up from his coffee at the sudden revelation. I haven't thought about it. Guess that's something people do, huh? He went back to his staring content of coffee, this time with a more thoughtful look. Can't do anything else anyway. I figured I'd better know the present anymore. I cleared my throat. Actually, I was wondering if I could have a family meeting for some advice. All three of you if possible. Of course, honey. We're so glad you're willing to talk with us. Not many teenage sons are so moody and secret. Even me. Uncle Kyle looked like he didn't want to be part of any of this, especially you. I told him about Alexandria, told him how we had met and how she wouldn't tell me certain things like her last name, the deal she proposed, and her thoughts about the investigation. I told him my suspicions and how I felt like she might have been hiding things. I was still planning on hanging out with her, but I don't know. I just want to make sure I wasn't being stupid about this. I'm guessing I'm asking for permission, as stupid as that sounds. My father looked a little grim. I don't know, that does sound a little suspicious. Maybe we should be cautious about it. It's absolute nonsense. Howard, don't listen to him, Nick. I think this Alexandria sounds lovely. And you're only saying that because you want grandchildren. You say that as if Nick was seeing a vampire gardenia. You're just happy this is about a girl who doesn't tell you their last name? It could be a wonderfully nice vampire, Howard. What a terrible thing to say, discriminating because of someone who is. Everyone has secrets. Bruh, you were like so moody and secretive about teenage boys. I think she might not like the sound of her last name, or maybe her parents are going through a divorce. Leave it to my parents to miss the point. I looked at Uncle Kyle. Any thoughts? Uncle Kyle gave me a contemplative look. I'm mostly impressed. I don't think you need to worry about seeing her. I think she's a great girl who has made a very plausible account for why one of the Thorns did it. The investigation details are public, but it's not like it would be all that difficult to figure out if she did or you asked around. Obviously, she has connections around town, so she's hiding knowledge about that. But there'd be all sorts of reasons why she's doing that. It's not like she could achieve anything malicious with this deal. She should stay out of Thorn's way, but if she does that, what's the worst that can happen? Uncle Kyle leaned back into his seat, thinking. She'd be interested to know I'm in agreement with her regarding the Thorns. It's more of an issue of gathering evidence for their guilt, make no mistake. I'm trying to get interviews with the Thorn family, but it's pretty hard to do that. They're a secretive and powerful family. We're finally just getting interviews with their working staff. I can almost just imagine Alexandria smug, I told you so look. Not that I ever doubted her deductive reasoning skills. And don't worry, we're considering the possibility the killer isn't done yet. He sighed. I kind of hope the Thorns are involved. It'd be a lot easier if they weren't. This is a full-on operation by the family. There's not much I can do. It would take the whole city team to get to the bottom of it, given how much corruption could be involved. It seems the whole town works for them. Aside, I think she's fun to hang out with, and you can tell her I appreciate her insight. She gave us a tired smile. Probably would make a much better detective than myself. At the very least, she probably took the job more. That's a very low bar. My parents have been arguing while Uncle Kyle and I talk, but they chimed in. Honey, you know where I stand. You know where your mother stands, that's where I have to stand too. My father smiled at me. But we'd be happy to meet her sometime. If she's duping you, she might get it past you, but she ain't getting it past us. Aww. They're great parents. That's right, you bring her on over. You are exactly the type we need to keep her away from. She's kind of shy, you know. I felt better about the situation. I was probably worried for nothing. She was mysterious, but the acceptable kind. The I want to know more about her type kind of mysterious, rather than the damn she might kill me type of mysterious. My first Charlotte was one of the latter types. We don't talk about Charlotte. That said, I wasn't done asking for consultation yet. I was contractually a boss as a member of the Walburn Terrence Nick friend. Joe remarked back, and he thought things girls, even though this wasn't at the pursuing a romantic relationship phase. There were some things you had to update the boys about. I called up Walburn reference. What's up? Girl talk. What are we up, dude? I called Terrence back. What's me up? Girl talk. He gave a exasperated grin. Jenny will never love him. Can't he get that through his thick skull? Wahlbergen had a crush on Jenny, my neighbor. She's on the basketball team, and I think he fell in love the first time he saw her drop 24 or 12 8 in middle school. Sadly, his feelings were unrequited, but I think Wahlbergen preferred it that way. I'd rather she focus on basketball, he said one time. And I'll never forgive her if she settled for something as pathetic as me another time. He insisted that was a reasonable position to hold. No, actually, it's for me. For you? I thought you were gone with girls after Jennifer. I'll be there. These friends are like, bruh. They're like surprised it's Nick. We met up at the local park. It was pretty close to the canal with a spectacular set the kids like to play on. Everyone ignored the swings because of that, which was where we met up. There's something about swings that made it easier to talk. I started swinging away while Wahlberg got to face this. Okay, brother, spill the details. We're all weirds and ready for dissection and consultation. Let me first clarify this isn't romantic, Terrence scoffed. Then why are we here? I ignored him. I then told him all about Alexandria, the same thing I told my parents. Wahlbergen nodded sagely every once in a while. Terrence looked more and more skeptical as I went on. Wahlbergen jumped up dramatically the second I stopped talking. This is wonderful. It's about damn time he got over Jennifer. She cheated on him, man. Bro, leave him alone. I had a feeling Alexandra would be good for you. It'll help her becoming more confident. She'll help you with becoming less of a dumbass. Jesus. I think he meant well, but Wahlbergen could get carried away sometimes. He was simultaneously a jock and a poet and not very good at being either. I'm a dumbass then? Yes, sir, you are. A noble, wonderful dumbass, but one nonetheless. You're not even idealistic. You think people should understand one another and help each other out, while he completely blind to the harshness of reality. Come on. Terrence and I, well, you're too used to us. We don't sway you anymore. But this Alexandra, I can see it now. She'll get through to you, and you'll show her the world, and she'll show you how it works. Wahlbergen always gave me positive interpretations already, which I appreciated since he always made you feel better. I turned to Terrence. It was time for a healthy dose of pessimism as well. Well, she's using you, dude. Oh, shut the fuck up, Terrence. You don't know what you're talking about. As if your client might know anything about couples. We aren't a couple! Wahlbergen waved his hands dismissively. Couple? Not a couple. Friends, lovers, married, whatever. I hate labels. Just verbiage we use to fill gaps that can be sold in but only found. It's sort of like Jenny and I. I turned to Terrence before Wahlbergen continued sighing. Please elaborate. It's just too convenient. Okay, you meet this weird girl at a festival, and you just so happen to meet again the next day, and she proposes a strange deal, and it turns out she actually knows things about town where she said she was just visiting. Open your eyes, man. Something is up with her. I agree to a certain extent, but Donenberg didn't my friends before I respond. She's trying to be his friend, dude. Why you gotta be so negative? Terrence shrugged Wahlbergen's boots off. Well, you wanted my thoughts, and I gave them. I'll leave you with this. At least consider the possibility she's using you. If she's involved with the murder somehow, she might be using you to get details on the investigation. You know, Detective Rageby, your uncle and all that. You and Wahlberg are such believers in humanity, and all of us are like you too. I'll keep that in mind. Uncle Kyle doesn't tell me details about the investigations anyway. I've got nothing to leak. I decided it would be best if I stopped eavesdropping to keep true to my word. Thought it would be good to place endings. It wasn't as bad as expected, but I valued both their opinions. Well, I appreciate our thought, boys. Maybe we'll meet her soon enough. Looking forward to it. Wahlberger put him forward and put an arm on my shoulder. You're not dating yet? Fine. It's not romantic yet? Fine. But be serious with me, dude. You at least a little interested? I rolled my eyes. He's never gets up. I'm a little interested. Wahlberger nodded approval. Good. June 10th, 1987. Okay. Having gained a metaphorical blessing from my friends and family. Jesus Christ. family, I went to see if Alexandra was at her usual meeting place. I even showed up an hour earlier than the last couple times we met. Fair enough. But she was already there, sitting in the gazebo with her signature regal posture. You know, it'd be easier to make arrangements to hang out if we exchanged phone numbers. Even your place has a phone, right? That way we wouldn't have to make arrangements before we left every time. Of course we have a phone. Great, could you give me the number? Or if you're still in your secretive phase, I could give you mine. She made a face. It's not a face, it's an identity, and you most definitely cannot call my place under any circumstances. It's a matter of life and death. What kind of place are you living in? Okay, let's pretend that's true. You're welcome to have mine. I'm not at liberty to making phone calls at my place when it's just you want it or what, in a manner of speaking. What's that supposed to mean? Like I said, a girl has her secrets. I know. I set myself in resignation on the bench under the gazebo. Even having my worries address my others, I still couldn't help feeling that there was something a little off about dealing with her. How many of these secrets could she have? You're a mystery, you know that? I tried my best. Before I forget, I told Alexandria what Uncle Kyle thought about her deductions. She gave a look of triumph. She followed it up by hissing at me what I told her. Her Uncle Kyle seemed to think that both thorns were in on it. What are you, a cat? No, according to you, I'm a princess. That can't be right. It's gotta be Blade. Uncle Kyle considered the possibility, but it looks like he's still leaning towards the whole thing being a family operation. She starts to miss. Guess, but Blade will be the new head soon, and he doesn't need his father's help to pull something like this off. She pointed her finger dramatically at me. You can bet that Blade's a killer. You tell your uncle that. I was learning that sometimes I better just roll with her. I'll let him know. Anyways, we have a different agenda than murder. But you're off the clock from detective duty. No Sherlocking today. I gotta put my bike. I promised to take you to Walmart after all. I tried to get us on our way, but Alexia was mortified at the idea of riding double on my bike. We all did that around here by standing on the peg in the back. I'm certain that's a violation of every reasonable traffic law. Relax, it'll be fine, unless you want to walk. Just warning you, it's across town. I'm not sure a princess like you can handle the walk. I thought she was the type to fight provocation, but she exhibits surprisingly maturity. She stepped to the peg on the back of my bike and nodded towards the handlebars. Whatever you say, Nick. We then headed off. She muttered rather unflattering things about me as I turned corners, berated me as I went up hills, and became quite religious when we went down there. But we managed to get to Walmart. When it was over, she smiled at me. It's a blast. I prepared for Alexia to fail at the spot where we entered Walmart. I had to deal with the crowd, but she always found new ways to surprise me. When we entered with Beef Freddy and Fussy over her, she took a loud in the place, did a quick 360, and turned to look at me. This is wonderful. I looked at her skeptically. Coffee shops are scary, but Walmart is fun. It's the personal stuff that gets me on edge. You know, the one-on-one type of stuff, like ordering coffee at the cafe. But this, watching mindless consumerism encouraged by corporate whims, this is how she be. No one cares about me here, just as the world intended. What the fuck? Me too, Nick. She laughed and headed off to the shelves. She grabbed notebooks, writing stuff, new novels, and magazines, and a strange itinerary of cleaning tools. I guess she really was rich. My mom would be thrilled. She was a girl and rich. She arranged the marriage as soon as she heard the news. You can never be prepared for home disasters. There's no way you clean. Well, that's very progressive. You, Nick, I'm glad you're open-minded. How are we gonna carry all this on a bike? Instead of complaining, can't you make yourself useful and push the cart? Making myself useful also included carrying the bags, and there were a lot of them. That left us in the predicament of how we were gonna get back. Looked like we would have to hold the bags while Alexia rode the bike. She told me she didn't really like to ride bikes. We'll never survive. Nonsense! I got carried away. We'll be fine. Oh, there are worse ways to die. I'm down. We all turned out okay. We only fell over twice. I didn't think ahead of how she was going to carry the bags when we returned, but when we returned to the gazebo, she promptly took them from me with a little issue. If she could carry them no problem, then why did I have to be the pack mule? Perhaps Terrence was right. Maybe she was more cunning than I thought. Listen to Terrence. Thanks, Nick, for putting up with me. I really appreciate it and had a lot of fun. I didn't know how to respond to some formality. I just gave a sure, no problem. She had a sort of barbed, teasing personality, but she really was a nice person. And deceptively strong, too. She went on her way with her bags and yelled back, Don't underestimate us princess types. That kicked off a 2-week routine I had with Alexandra. With me as Gazebo and this canal fund and either talk about the investigation or go exploring. And yeah, it was 2 weeks of walking, talking, eating, and arguing. I would never admit this to her because she could be kind of smug sometimes, but that's pretty much the best way to spend 2 weeks. One time we went on a hike on the trailways in the center of Alcatia. Randomly, while I was catching my breath, she asked me, "How do I keep my end of the bargain? I already solved the murder." I burst out laughing. "Oh, have you now?" She seemed a little hurt. I used the opportunity to backpedal into something I've been meaning to ask her about. I felt like we were close enough to be audible. What was a minute? "Alexandra, be honest with me. Was that deal you proposed to exclusively Alcantia, or is there something more to you?" I took a deep breath and conducted myself with it to continue. "You're not using me, are you?" Silence lingered in the air between us. She hesitated before walking up to me. My pulse quickened a bit. I reassured myself my breathlessness was from the hike up the hill. "You're right to be suspicious. I know things about me are off. You deserve some answers, so here they are. In order of your questions? Yes, and maybe." I had to think back to my question. So the deal was an excuse. There was something more to her, and she was maybe using me? What does that mean to maybe use someone? She smiled a little mysterious. We all use each other, right? I don't think the idea is as malicious as we often think. We rely on other people to get through each day, so depending on what you mean, I might be using you, I might not be. Can I get a straight answer? Is that not a strange answer? No. She laughed at that. "Well, you can't get a straight answer now, but you'll get one soon." She stuck on her hand again. "So let's make a deal. We keep doing what you're doing, and I'll give you a straight answer soon." I'm a little worried about what your idea of soon might be. Nonetheless, I shook her hand. It was probably as straightforward as it was going to get with her. She was a mystery, but I hoped that one day she trusted me enough to tell me more about herself. Realizing we'd been shaking hands for a while, I cleared my throat and moved my hand. "Well, I know a way to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. See how and talk about the murder, and we meet up on our suspects." "Which one?" "It so happens that one of the suspects is a very talkative lady who gets very well with all customers." "You mean the bar lady?" "I mean the bar lady." There's no way Delilah Loving-Swift is involved in any murders, and we couldn't eat at the Classy Jack. Their shtick is that they're a bar that serves pancakes from noon to midnight. Go whenever. We could do some stuff with the flapjacks, but whether or not you think she's a murderer. Pausing at it. I was curious to see if her deductive skills or personality. I get the feeling you'd be pretty good at it. You bet I am. I can read you like a book, and I read a lot of them. I rolled my eyes. "That's so. What have you figured out about me?" Then I wrote, "Unless it's a secret." "You're catching on now." She turned out. "I'm gonna go down the hill around Classy Jack, huh? It's a date then." That made my heart skip a beat. Dates? Us? Is that the word to use? A couple days later, we passed toward the Classy Jack. Classy Jack is a dainty little joint past the east part of town. Our so-called Jade at the Classy Jack served as I had expected to be. She was all bravo and bluster until we sat down at the bar. "Is that her? Did you see her arms? Definitely could have said so." "Oh, shut up. She's super nice. Just watch." Thankfully, Miss Loving-Swift was such an easy conversation partner that even Alexandria had no problem talking to her. Introduced Alexandria as someone who was visiting the town, and Miss Loving-Swift took it from there. Before I knew it, we had some pancakes in front of us, and Miss Loving-Swift was ranting about everything to Alexandria. "Can you believe that Detective Rage is sending his nephew to spy on me now? I already answered all his questions. I ain't never told a lie in my life. Now, Missy, you watch yourself around this young man. Man, you can't trust him." "Hey!" "Well, you bet I will, Miss Loving-Swift. Don't worry, Nick is a good guy." I kept quiet and focused on my pancakes. There are some topics you don't butt in on. A few drinks in for talking to the bartender, she was stilly on her left clothes, shoulders flustered. And to my surprise, Alexandria was giving her advice. Then I realized I've been flipping pancakes for 20 years. I'm not gonna die a pancake flipper. Don't get me wrong, I love what I do. I just don't think I was meant to do. I'm like missing out on my calling. I don't think there's anything we're meant to do, ma'am. None of us have predetermined purposes. We exist in any purpose of the world is we have something we have to create for ourselves. Your purpose is to make pancakes only if you want to be to your purpose. Is there something you want to do with your life? It sounds silly, but I think I just want people around me to be happy. Things weren't easy growing up, and I know the value of being able to smile. You don't think making pancakes would bring smiles to the people around you? She thought about that. You're right, Alexandria. You're right. You're damn right. Ain't nothing I love more about this job than seeing people smile. The damn good life I'm living now. Where was all this wisdom coming from? I'm glad I was trying to have a good time, but I felt like the third wheel in her self-proclaimed date. I moodedly ate my 10th pancake. Miss Loving Smith sent us, or at least Alexandria, with an enormous amount of take-home pancakes with a long list of promises of Alexandria about things they need to talk about. You best appreciate her, Mr. Fox. She's a gem, smart and pretty. She's a catch. She went back inside praising Alexandria to a random dude in the bar. Oh, God. Alexandra smugly toward that to me, her eyes sparkling. You heard that, Mr. Fox? I'm a catch. She laughed before I could respond. Sorry, but hey, I'm pretty good at this detective thing. We should track down another suspect for me to analyze. What detective work? You guys talked about her midlife crisis. Shows a little you know. Let's figure her out. No way she's a murderer. Could have told you that. She ignored me. She's just too open. She has nothing to hide because she spilled everything to me. It takes a level of bluffing she's not capable of to be like her and be a murderer. Let's just say she's a nice person. Alexandria returned a pat and eye roll back at me. Murderers can be nice people too, you know. I thought that was a little contradictory, but I'm not the self-proclaimed expert on murder. Yeah, Nick. Our next target was Miss Beryl Johnson. Given me we couldn't really arrange me either Edgar or Vane Thorne, and I had no idea to make the old retired professor when asking my uncle, and he would definitely not approve of us doing our own detective work. Fortunately, there was a series of public talks going about the tourism proposal, and Mrs. Johnson was going to be giving one downtown. Alexandria and I jumped on the opportunity. It was a surprisingly large crowd. I didn't realize how many people cared about this whole thing. I was nodding off minutes into her speech and the whole thing seems kind of boring, but Alexandria remained hyper-focused the whole time. When I glanced over at her, she had a pretty stiff frown. After the talk, I asked her, well, what did you think? She paused to think about it. I'm pretty sure Vlay did it, but Miss Johnson's character makes her suspicious. Unlike Miss Loving Smith, she's willing to lie to get what she wants. She was lying during her talk, that's bold of her. She didn't outright lie, but she was very good at telling the truth. She was spinning narratives and not backing them up with anything. She looked at me with a smug little look, reveling and explaining things to me. I'm not a pro or anti-tourism proposal or anything, but not one of her points had anything to do with the pros or cons of the proposal. So basically, it looks like the Thorns who admittedly deserve it and propping up the judicial values of town. Don't get me wrong, there's obvious detriments to the tourism proposal, but she didn't really discuss any of the specific ones, nor did she address how they outweigh potential benefits. It's all manipulative emotional appeals. She's typical politicians, and politicians are capable of murder. True. Since when are you an expert on politics? She gave me a look. Unlike you, I actually did some research on the proposal. She got me there. So, you think Mrs. Johnson is capable of murder just from her being a stereotypical politician? Well, I wouldn't go that far. I don't think she did it, but she's definitely a snake. Someone who'll say anything to get what they want. That tracks. She did have an affair with Miss Braddock's husband, after all. Between doing detective work and dates, before I knew it, 2 weeks had passed with her. On the 25th, we did something a little different. We met at our usual spot, but we met at night this time. Given how close it was to the solstice, it was pretty late before it got dark. Thankfully, the further away we got from the day from the murder, the more relaxed my parents got about the situation. They didn't mind me staying out late. My father was more concerned about getting details about Alexandria from me. What can I say about Alexandria? Quite a lot now, much. No. In many ways, she was still a mystery. I didn't know a lot about her. Her last name, where she was from, where she stayed at now, what her family was like, and what she wanted to do. I didn't know any of those things. But over these couple of weeks, I learned plenty about her as well. She was shy in initial meetings, but heated up quickly if you teased her. She could always respond to a verbal jab with a sharp and familiar one. She liked to pretend that she was hot stuff, that she was the smartest, bravest, most charming person around. Then there was the way she ended all our meetings. She'd thank me for whatever we did and say how much she appreciated it. She put on a front all the time, but I could tell she was being genuine when we parted. There was something about the way she said it that seemed like she savored every moment, like she knew nothing could last forever. Wahlbergen asked me if I was interested, and I sort of sarcastically told him I was a little interested. That wasn't a lie, but I was a lot more interested now. Of course, there was the mysterious parts of her I'd like to know about, but more than that, Alexandria got to be the person she wanted to be. The person who could say she wanted to do what she wanted behind whatever it was in her life holding her back from it. I wanted to be there to see it. I wanted to be at her side when that happened. I didn't think I was in love or anything. I just wanted to be part of her life. But when life opened up for her, and I wasn't the one in her world when that happened, and she still wanted to talk, laugh, and tease me, well, I pulled behind her a couple of steps as we walked around the canal front, the water to our left and the stars shining above. We walked mostly in silence, since the stiffness in the air was too clear and the night sky too beautiful to say much. The water to our left had a calm that we embraced, and the road to our right had an openness we hadn't explored yet. The night sky but brought us together after all. Would it bring us closer now? Good question. Let's find out. This went on for a little long before Alexandria broke the silence. Hey, Nick, can I tell you something? Sure. I gulped. Yeah, of course. I told you this when we first met, and I sometimes joke about that, but I really have been lonely most of my life. You really are my first friend. I never really had the opportunity to make friends, and there's a reason for that. I tried to think of something to say, and in the ensuing silence, she turned around and faced me. It was dark, but the stars were bright enough that they could see her face. Her face shined determinedly. I told you I would give you a straight answer to your question soon. I've been unfair with all my secrets. You deserve to know who I am. Her face still shone, but I don't think it was just the work with the starlight. We meet tomorrow at a different spot than usual, about a half-mile west of here. There's an outlook, so cliff past the trail. You know the spot? Let's meet there. Look right in my eyes. I'll tell you about me then. I feel like this is foreshadowing. She took a step back. My heart slowed down in relief. I hadn't realized I'd been racing. Sorry about the location and timing. See you later, Nick. With that, she took off, leaving me to fill the gaps of what she couldn't want to tell me. Feeling a little overwhelmed, I sat down by the water. canal in front of me, a sea of stars above me, and an ocean of possibilities before me. I had a lot to think about. June 26, 1987. The next morning, I called Wahlberg and told me what Alexandria had asked me. I wanted his advice to try to figure out how I felt, but I think I gave him the wrong idea. Dude, don't be stupid. You know it's gonna be a confession. You think? I guess she's the old-fashioned type. Honestly, I agree with her. It has to be right for these sort of things. You have someone you like them at a gas station. She got the right idea. Sunset Cliff. Now that's right. Maybe she wants to push me off the cliff if I say no. Are you gonna say no? I don't know. I don't think she's gonna ask me out. Listen, man, you can't be wishy-washy. It'll just make something's between you. Best to be clear on where you stand. Simple question. Do you like her? Of course I like her. Stop playing dumb. Do we grade schoolers again? Do you like her? That's not a simple question. God, you're impossible. Is there a reason you're hesitant? It's just we barely know each other. It's just been a little over 2 weeks. 2 weeks can be in technical love, man. There isn't a time-based diagnostic for when it's the right time to tell someone you have feelings about. I know, but with her, I don't know, it feels rushed. Rushed how? I'm probably the first dude in her life. The way she makes it sound, she might have been locked up in a cabinet somewhere. Besides, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm taking advantage of being the first guy in her life. She had a normal upbringing. She'd probably think differently of the situation. But she probably doesn't now. I have a normal upbringing. Huh? No noisy. Cho là con quen. No, con không lấy luôn. Tại vì con quen không ra là luôn. Someone has to be the first dude in her life. I don't think it's your right to tell her how she ought to feel. She likes you, that's all there is to it. She paused before continuing more gently. I won't tell you what to do, it's your life, but don't idealize love too much. It's not the sort of thing you can make a guidebook about. If you think you two can handle the messiness of giving her an unclear answer, you do that. That's good advice. Thanks, man. Appreciate you talking with me about it. No problem. Good luck and try not to screw it too much. I hung up. I still have most of the day before the meeting, which was much too long for my strained nerves to be racing mind. Why was I so nervous? She was just gonna tell me what she'd been hiding from me. I guess I was afraid of knowing what that was. At Alexandria's insistence, I had finished Pride and Prejudice, and I was now supposed to be reading Dune. I stared at my wall and tried to work my way through Dune, which wasn't really the sort of book you could get through when your thoughts were elsewhere. I ate a half-hearted dinner when my mom and dad pressed me into why it seemed so despondent. The conclusion? It's Alexandria. Gotta be. Oh, shut up! I left early so I could go to my meeting place by foot. It would be quite a long walk given the remoteness of the location. I knew one thing for certain. No matter what she told me, I still wanted to be part of her life. No matter what happened, I tried to remain friends, to be real friends. And well, to be potentially more friends, we have to be honest with each other. Did I really know her? No, I didn't. Did she really know me? Maybe a little more than I knew her, but probably not all that well. We were still at that phase where most of our closeness was chemistry, banter, and the growing sense of familiarity. I wanted just a little bit more. Jesus Christ, it's been 3 hours and the stream hasn't caught up. Up on this. Feeling a little more confident about the situation, I continued on my way. It had been a scorcher today, but the sun was finally beginning to go down. I walked up to this highway that led Alcantara, to the path that would lead me to the cliffside where I met Alexandria. I braced myself for what was to come. At the end of the path, there was a clearing by the cliffs, and Alexandria stood facing the open end of that cliff, looking into that sunset. It gave her an angelic look, looking like she was about to join the sun with its set, leaving the night in her wake. Oh! Nice! We get art! As I got closer, she must have sensed my presence and turned around with a small, sad smile on her face. Thanks for coming, Nick. Sorry it was so out of the way. I really wanted a remote location, somewhere we wouldn't be heard. Yeah, no problem. Somewhere we wouldn't be heard. Oh boy. She looked at me head on. I'm serious about you, Nick. Oh no, was Wahlberg right? How did I misread? at the situation that was she actually gonna confess, I tensed up. I really want to be friends. Me too, Nick. Me too. Friends? We're already friends! Did I psych myself up for no reason? Am I getting friend zoned? She continued on. I realized I haven't been very open with you. I don't know much about friends, but I know they don't hide the things I've hidden from you. She took a step closer. Today marks the day I stopped doing that. Maybe these past 2 weeks were nothing to you, but they were everything to me. And I never smiled like I have recently. Laughed like I have recently. And you're the one who brought those smiles to my face, the laughter into my life. You should know about me. She took a pause. That was heavier than I expected. Her life really been that tough. We're still a confession, but maybe it wasn't the type of confession I was expecting. I was scared to do this because it risked ruining what I had just gotten, but I knew I had to take the chance. These past 2 weeks, I don't just want them to continue. She took another step towards me. We're close that we could reach out and touch each other. I want more. I held my breath. What I'm about to tell you, you can't tell anyone else. No one else. Not your friends, not your family. It stays between you and me. I know that. And when I tell you, it places both you and I at risk. What I'm doing is probably wrong. I shouldn't be putting you in danger, but at this point I know I can't keep this a secret anymore. Do you still want to know? The atmosphere was getting heavy. I didn't realize there had been stakes or a situation. I tried to lighten the mood. How much of a risk are we talking about? Alexandria wasn't having any of it. A lot. The sun was starting to dip down between the horizon. I want to hear it. I promise I won't tell anyone. She nodded. Thank you. She took a deep breath. It's a long story. I'll try to give you the short version. Let's start with this. She took a hop back and gave an elegant curtsy. I never probably introduced myself. My name is Alexandria Thorne. Oh, that's why she was convinced! Ha! Ha! I just stared at her dumbfounded. She couldn't mean. By Thorne, you mean? Yes, the Thornes of a rich, influential, and corrupt family with a large mansion in the southwest part. No. I'm supposedly the daughter of Gurren Yelena Thorne, though Yelena died shortly after I was born. Played as my older brother. She laughed hollowly. I tried to muster something to say, but how could I've been here all my life and never heard about the Thornes having a daughter? She looked at me sadly. No, you wouldn't. Like I said, it's a long story, and I better start from the beginning. I was still trying to process what she told me, but she began her explanation. The Thorne family basically founded this town in 1851 after picking a spot out for its potential in copper mining. The head then was Alistair Thorne, and of course you know about the story about him and Alcatraz. Unfortunate for him, his personal tragedies weren't over. For even with Alcantra's death, he and Alcantara had 3 sons. Wait, I was right about her being a Thorne! She assigned the headship to his second son, who became the best student for her. The oldest and youngest son didn't take the news well. Concocted a plot to murder the middle brother, which was discovered by Alistair. He disinherited them and kicked them out of the family. Really disturbed by the behavior of the sons, Alistair gave the decree to the middle one. He made a family rule that the head of the Thorne family was to have only 1 child so that there wouldn't be a problem with succession of the headship again. Alistair gave him the headship to his son in 1888, and the will stuck out for 4 more heirs. You can look into the old town records to see the Thorne family only has ever one child to avoid a succession issues. Well, that continued through the while, to my father and mother, Edgar and Thorne. They had my brother Blade in the winter of 1964, so he's 23 now. He was raised and trained to be a succession of my father. In a couple of years, my father will step down and Blade will assume his share of the family. But in 1969, the Thorne rule about only one child was broken. I was born. Something wasn't adding up about. But then, how come nobody has heard about you? They can't get locked up, could they? Oh, she gave a dark look reminiscent of the Baptist look she had shown me when they talked about the Thornes previously. I was locked up for 18 years. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I stared back at her in shock. It took me a couple moments to compose myself to say something. They really hid your existence for 18 years because it's just some stupid rule? Who cares about that anyway? The Count wouldn't care. I bet hardly anyone even knows the Thornes have a rule about only having 1 kid. She gave a dry laugh. No, of course not. That's just what my father tells me. I gave the introduction so you could know how my father justified what he could have done to me. My father's face grew dark. Tell me, Nick, do you really think Yelena Thorne is my mother? I could see where she was going with this. You think your dad had an affair? Yes, I pondered this a long time. My dad almost certainly had an affair with someone and had a child with them. Shortly after, my mother dies of some sort of mysterious illness. Even you can figure this one out, Nick. Don't be naive. She pulled up her fist. Here's a summary. The Thorne family only has one child to avoid succession problems. My dad had an affair with another woman and has a child with her. He doesn't want to give up the kid, and he doesn't like his wife, so he kills his wife and takes the kid into his family. He hides her existence so that people won't know of his infidelity. I interrupted. That's crazy. Why would we have to do that? Couldn't he just pretend you were the kid of his wife? Why would he need to hide you? People would still be able to figure it out. My mother wasn't pregnant with me, and assuming they still showed up around town. If the Thorne suddenly had a kid, they know it wasn't from the line of Thorne. As for adoption, no one would believe that given the succession rule. They figure out it was an excuse. Oh yeah. My father must realize that I don't believe that I'm Yellowhead Thorne's daughter, but he still refused to come clean with me. My father would really lock you up for your whole life so that people wouldn't know he had an affair. Not only that, he locked me up to hide the evidence he killed his wife because of an affair. I didn't even know what to say. How could someone be that horrible? It's hard for me to grasp this lack of empathy necessary to hide someone's existence to hide your mistakes. Let me tell you about me now. I really am a lonely girl with no friends. I wasn't hiding that. I grew up in the Thorne Mansion, and the furthest I could go was the surrounding land we owned behind the mansion, the parts you can't see from the front gate. Of course, I was always monitored, but despite the fact I was going to be the head, I was raised like I was a Thorne. Table manners, dignity, all that stupid stuff. I was worried when you called me princess because I thought you might have figured it out. I guess I couldn't really hide that part of me. No, she really couldn't. It was terrible she had to try in the first place. The people who know about me are my father, my brother, and the staff of the family. Our staff restores strict secrecy. That's part of the reason why it's so hard for your uncle to get interviews with the staff of the Thornes. To work for the Thornes means getting paid a lot, but it also means hiding a lot too. Even so, I consider most of the staff to be family. They've been very kind to me. Though it's probably because my father threatened them, so they might not have any choice but to be kind to me. I shook my head sadly. I lived 15 minutes away from the Thorne Mansion. It was crazy to think this was all happening so close to me. So for 18 years, I lived in the Thorne Mansion and grounds. I never had any personal freedom until recently. You see, on the 30th of May, my father had a change of heart. He asked to see me. When I met with him, he told me that he was going to let me go outside the Thorne Mansion on the grounds I keep quiet about who I am, except at his terms. I was able to leave the Thorne Mansion for the first time on June 6th. I met you at the summer festival, and you know the rest. At least now. She looked at me. You can see why I told you that knowing this was dangerous. I'm sorry for telling you, it's selfish of me. I was struggling with my own emotions. I didn't know how to feel. There was the braver, kinder side of me that wanted to jump to reassure I was glad I knew, and I didn't care, and I wanted her in my life anyway. And then there was a side that harbored suspicion. I had to ask more. Then what was with you and your deductions? I'm the daughter of Edgar Thorne. I simply asked the staff to find out as much as I can about the investigation. If a Thorne asks for something, they get it. So I got plenty of info. I made my deductions of that. There was nothing more to it than that. So you're accusing your own brother? Yeah, I am. I'm certain that Blade killed Neurotic. You see, I know my father has killed already, but he's not capable of it anymore. My brother Blade, he's what the public thinks he is. What he shows to others in the mass, he is perfectly capable of murder. Only a Thorne would have something to kill from killing Neurotic, and Blade is the only one who can kill right now. That's why I think Blade is the murderer. That's not much for reasoning. She shrugged. I told you I'm not perfect. I still have so much I wanted to ask. I didn't know where to get started. I've been too scared to ask her what I really wanted to know, and that was she was part of the murder. She was a Thorne, and I knew what that meant. I remember Terrence's words about Alexandria using me. I had thought her confession would alleviate my doubts about her, but they only strengthened them. Alexandria, I stopped. She closed up and close to me. I know you must have a million questions about me, my family, murders. I know you can't trust me yet. The Thornes don't deserve to be trusted. I know you can't trust the girl who asked you to keep quiet about her until see what her family are probably murderers. I know you can't trust me yet, but that's exactly why I told you all this, so that eventually you could, and when that happens... She took another step towards me and whispered, Who knows? I tried again. Alexandria had stopped. This time she held out her hand towards my face and a stop sign. I told her, you need time to think about this, and I want you to think about it. If you want to talk, meet me at our usual place at our usual time tomorrow. After you come to a decision about it. If you don't show up, I'll assume you don't want anything to do with me anymore. If you do show up, we'll talk more about me, about us. I realized how terrible I was at knowing what I wanted. Alexandria was right. I needed time to think this over. If I just followed my heart, who knows what I'd decide. My heart was a mess. I gave it Bayside. Okay. She nodded. Thank you for listening to me and agreeing. Please don't tell anyone about me. If you want nothing, even if you want nothing to do with me again, please don't tell anyone. For my sake, and for yours as well. I wasn't ready to tell anyone what I heard anyway. I thought I'd return. I promise. Thank you. I'm sorry. She took off sprinting. Maybe I could have followed and tried to catch her, but she had been so brave to kill. She deserved this opportunity for cowardice. Knowing I had an evening with my conflicted thoughts ahead of me, I watched Alexandria's receding form disappear. Ooh. Oh, June 10th, 1997. Okay. Well, it's getting pretty late. I guess I can continue the rest of this. Is tomorrow?
Nimble Gosling said. And that's it for stream. I'll continue tomorrow.